Hello and welcome to the Layla Cunningham Show. Now, it's my first time doing a show as a host. I'm normally a guest under the firing line, as you all may have seen in recent times. But what I really want to do is I want to break down politics, because I get so many questions. So many people come up to me and they're like, what is a cabinet? What is an establishment? And I know we've spoken a lot about the establishment in the past week. So I want to demystify all the slogans and buzzwords, because everything that happens in Parliament, in Westminster, affects you. And I don't think we take enough time to kind of break it down. I didn't know before I entered politics what everything meant. I didn't know that if the government overspends, it directly affects me. And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to have a chat, grab a tea, grab a coffee. We're going to have a chat, and we're going to just talk about politics. But we're going to demystify it a bit. What is this establishment thing that we keep going on about? What exactly is it? You've had some people say it's if you got any money, if you went to private school, but is a footballer the establishment? They've got a shit ton of money. Oops, I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to swear, but that's the thing. So I think it's breaking it down what people mean the establishment is, and hopefully I'll get some good calls, I'll get some good comments. Please write in whenever you want. It's my first show, so bear with me, but I love having a chat, so here we go.
Get some comments on screen. What we got?
Have we got some good comments on screen?
Let's have a look. Go on, whack something on there. There we go. And
listen, great to see you, Layla. More common sense speaking and total truth. Thank you very much. Those are one of the nicer comments I've had this week. And I think what we're going to do is every episode we are...
that's funny.
Kelvin's looking great this morning.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, so I thought I put a wig on. No, on Friday it's going to be me, sadly. You'll be stuck with me. But I think it's going to be more relaxed. And I think every episode we're going to talk exactly what's going on in politics. And what does it mean for you? What does it mean for me? What does it mean for everyone? And you all know, I'm part of Reform, so I might not be as objective as you'd expect, but I'm going to lay my cards on the table.
We got a super chat.
We've got a super chat.
Simon
Kilford in the house.
Yes.
Simon, how's it going?
Brilliant.
And if any, shall we explain to them what a super chat is?
Yes.
So a super chat is
when you pledge money to the channel, and you can put a comment, and Layla will read it out for you.
Yeah. So you can support the channel, right? Because what is this channel really about? Why did I decide to come on this channel? Well, a few things. Number one, I don't. Any of you have seen me on any shows, and you may not have. It's not the most riveting of TV, but I'm always defending. Why I supported Reform. I'm always defending Reform. I'm defending my political views, and I thought it's good to have a channel where we can lay out our stall. And listen, we'll always have guests. Any guest that wants to come and disagree with me, please do, because I kind of do best under attack. But it's to explain what we're here for. Morning, Layla. Lovely to see you here. Thank you very much. I can't quite read the name.
Freedom.
Oh, I love the name.
Yeah.
Because I have actually, I do think sometimes we are fighting for freedom. In fact, I was in America recently for the 250 celebration, and the one word that was everywhere, across DC, the one word that resonated was freedom. And I sat and I thought about it. What are they fighting? They are fighting freedom from the tyranny of the state. And then I thought, my goodness, and we are fighting in the UK against the tyranny of the state. The slow creep, the slow mission creep that is always under the guise of safety, but always ends up being more control, more government control. And I ask you this, do they even trust us? Do they want us to have an opinion? Well, that's what we're going to break down. And guess who I have next to me now? The legend, the man that started it all, Mike Graham. Hello, Mike.
Hello, welcome.
Welcome.
Place, isn't
yeah,
it great?
Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing. I feel like it's the Freedom Channel.
It is the Freedom Channel, and we're calling it the newest and boldest and bravest sort of news channel in Britain, because this is the only place, believe it or not, and I don't say this just because you're with Reform. I've said it to people all week. This is the only place where we actually are asking the questions about why is Nigel Farage being vilified? Why is he being singled out? Why is he being treated like some kind of criminal? You know, when you know,
when there's
he doesn't appear to have done anything wrong.
no, and
He's got some houses. Oh my God!
In fact,
lock him up.
No, I was on a show the other day, and Fraser Nelson said, "Oh, well, what about his property empire?"
Right.
I'm like, "Are you kidding? Have you seen how many houses Labour MPs
Labour MPs
got?
got about 4 houses, and we paid for 2 of them. Andy Burnham's renting out the place we bought for him.
And what's all these Jaguars they bought?
I know.
Where's the outrage on that? And then they keep saying, "Oh, you know, one of our volunteers, he has a dodgy past, but." Hang on, he wants to put a convicted fraudster in cabinet.
Yeah, right.
No, that's totally fine, by the way.
Yeah. How many phones has she got at the moment?
Right? How many has she lost?
Keeps reporting them. You know, the whole thing is mad. But no, I'm really proud of what we've built here. Pooch, Charlotte, all the people who are working here, Scarlett. It's been an amazing journey. In 6 months, we just hit today 30 million views.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
That's unbelievable. That's a testament to you, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Kelvin MacKenzie coming in. Some people like him, some people don't like him. Some people think he's too mainstream. You're here now. You know, people will like it. Some people won't like it. You know, bring it on.
But you know what? And anyone who's watching who has a voice and who fundamentally disagrees with me, please come on the show. Because I'm here. I do believe, actually, we might fundamentally disagree about politics, but I think everyone in this country wants fundamental, basic rights given to them. You know, I don't think anyone watching, whether you're Tory, Labour, Lib Dem, and you probably are not watching if you are all those people, but you all want safe streets.
Yeah.
You all want safe borders.
Exactly.
You all want a government that just takes a little bit less of your money.
Yeah.
You all want public services that work.
It's interesting you said about the 250th anniversary of independence in America, because I wrote a piece last weekend, in fact, saying it's great for them, not so great for us. Imagine if we still ran America. You know,
I know.
actually their economy would be down the toilet. They'd have immigration, you know, coming at them from all sides. And, you know, Canada, Mexico, you know, Cuba. If they'd be locking people up for saying the things that they say, because they wouldn't have any freedom of speech. You know, we have become a really terrible country in those 250 years.
And it all comes down to that one word, Mike: freedom.
Freedom.
You know, freedom underpins everything in the USA. Yeah. And I don't agree with gun laws, but you know why they have guns. Yeah. It's not to protect against the criminal. It's to protect against the overarching government. That is the fundamental reason. Yeah. And I think we need to go back to basics in this country. You know, individual rights, individual freedom, the right to private property. Yeah. I feel here they see, you know, he's talking about wanting to tax income, and we'll go into that as much as, tax wealth like income. Yeah. That is private property. Yes. It's not to be requisitioned just to pay for government failures.
And also, if you have property, you more or less pay tax on the money you used to buy it already. You know, they seem to think that they could just continually tax everything. They're talking about taxing death, you know, taxing pensions.
Well, they already tax death, but I agree.
But making it worse.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, they don't understand that in order for me to build wealth, whether it's a business, whether it's a property, I had to take risk. You know, and if I had lost on that risk, the government wasn't going to pay me back.
No, of course not.
No,
we're in the same boat here. We need to lay out some money. I mean, not as much perhaps as the BBC. We're better than them and for a lot less money. But, you know, and we're not charging the people for it. But at the end of the day, we've taken a risk with some money. We put money in, and we hope that we'll get money out. But, you know, as you say, if it doesn't work, the government's not going to help us.
Of course not, and it shouldn't.
No.
Right, and that's what I mean. So wealth is not the same as income, because you've taken a huge risk in setting this up.
Totally.
And if it succeeds, then you know you're contributing to our GDP and our growth.
Well,
Fantastic.
you would think that they would welcome
service.
that, but it seems as though the Labour government now actually detests people that make money. They don't like it. They almost treat you as a criminal, as if you're up to no good. What are you doing? And why are you making money? Why are you not just living off the state? You know, they're actually encouraging people now. 40% increase, right, in the number of young people claiming PIP allowance for having ADHD. And, you know, we've seen these figures. The thing that really bothers me, as well as the size of the state, and I know you guys at Reform are on my side on this, 73% more civil servants working now in the last decade. 73% more.
Wow, 73%. Yeah. And you know, if that was a private business, you'd look at, with that massive increase in staff, has it led to an increase in productivity
No.
of the? No, it's almost the
Of course not.
reverse.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost the reverse. It's almost the higher the civil service staff count goes, the lower the productivity level.
Yeah.
And I actually did a graph the other day where you could track the increase in regulation on businesses and the decrease in growth.
Yes.
You know, and that correlation's never made. And,
Well,
and
look at what they've done now, even just in small businesses like ours, and I've got another company that I've been running for a while. As an independent kind of, contractor, if you like. The whole IR35 business where they're trying to, take more money off you in tax. Then they say, oh, well, now we want you to keep more records so that every month you've got to keep your accounts better than you did before. So no longer can you file twice a year, you have to file every month. It's just strangling every business with red tape.
Yeah, but I feel that the government intervenes, creates a problem that is a reason for it to grow even bigger.
Yeah.
For instance, they've made it more expensive and harder to hire young people by increasing minimum wage and increased employer rights. I've spoken to small businesses who are like, you know what, pubs, small business, I'm not going to hire anyone.
Yeah.
I can't take the risk.
Yeah.
And so they've noticed that, the government, and we've had, like you said, a massive increase in unemployment of young people. So what does the government do? Oh, we're going to pay businesses to hire young people. We're going to give them £3,000. But you created this problem before.
Exactly.
If you didn't make it so hard to hire them, you wouldn't have to use our money to correct the mistake you made. And that's what I feel government creates problems to grow itself.
Yes, but it seems as though they have no knowledge whatsoever, and it's no surprise since none of them have ever worked in business that they have no knowledge of business. One of my sons works in, he's got a job he's been at university, but he's got a job in a sort of music venue in Manchester, and he would do maybe 2 or 3 shifts a week. And as soon as they raised the national insurance rate, and as soon as they raised the minimum wage, he got less work. So he still works there, but he now makes less money.
Because the thing is, they think growth is a government slogan, right? But you cannot magically create growth. So you can't, if you increase wages without having an increase in growth, 3 things happen, right? That people hire less.
Yeah. They fire people.
They fire people. Prices go up, right? And that's what you're seeing right now.
Well, this is Andy Burnham's latest plan, right? He's decided he's going to put the price up of business rates on warehouses, right? He suddenly discovered there are these giant warehouses, and they are giant. They are quite weird looking. But he doesn't seem to realise that the people using those warehouses are storing things in them that they sell to the public.
Yeah.
And if you put the prices up, they're just going to pass that on to the public.
100%.
Right?
Yeah. And it's a sad state of affairs because, I don't know if you've seen, but, we used to be, London obviously is the city I love and trying to represent, but we used to be the leading financial centre in the world. Now we're number 23 in the world for raising IPO finance.
Is that right?
23 in the world. And what's happened is everyone so many British companies are listing abroad, NASDAQ, and other, and because number one, the regulation's too onerous.
Right.
Taxation is too onerous, and they take with them jobs, taxes that could pay for public services.
Sure.
And it's a sad state of affairs because, like you said, we've treated wealth creation almost like a crime.
We have.
Something
and
to
it's
be
worse
punished,
than that.
not rewarded.
Yes, and it's worse than that because I was reading this week that after the NATO summit over in Ankara, and which was a good place for Keir Starmer to go, frankly, it said that apparently NATO are considering downgrading Britain, which at the moment holds the sort of secondary position in NATO as on the sort of NATO committee. We're sort of like the deputy head of it, if you like.
Right.
But apparently because of the fact that we're not spending enough money on defence, they're going to downgrade us and move us out of the secondary position and probably put us down to about 5 or 6.
Really?
Yeah. And that's on the cards. That's according to the people inside of NATO who are like, well, Britain's just not as worthy a sort of ally as it used to be because we haven't got any military defence capability whatsoever.
But also what Iran has shown us is that anyone who is so energy dependent on foreign imports makes us very vulnerable.
Yeah, of course.
Energy dependence is a fundamental basic of national security.
We wouldn't have to worry about the Straits of Hormuz if we were drilling in the North Sea.
But also, even the Conservatives, we don't even have energy storage.
Yeah.
We don't have any energy storage to buffer us against an energy blockage.
No.
And that lays at the Tories' door, who they shut down all our energy storage.
Yeah.
Madness.
Yeah, I know.
How can you not have foresight to know that energy independence is key to national security?
I know. It's almost as though we do defence
well.
Yeah.
We have a fantastic defence industry.
Yeah.
and we have the know-how, we have the history, but we just don't have the political.
I was with the
prioritise
army
it.
guys last night. I went to, unusually for me, I was invited to this fantastic display at a Horse Guards Parade.
Oh, how lovely.
And it was so British, and it made me feel actually unusually, because you don't get it very often, really, really proud to watch the Grenadier Guards and the Gurkhas and the marching and the music and all of that. But I was talking to one of the guys from Grenadier Guards who runs it, the barracks over there by St James's Park, and he just said, you know, it's a real struggle right now to be running the armed forces, because we get no support from politicians, we get no money from the politicians. You know, It's become woke. They've got, I mean, some of the people, I mean, I must say, some of the people that you saw marching around were like this high, and you're kind of going, I'm not. You don't look that frightening, actually. You know, and I don't want to be disrespectful to them, but you know, it's a very different army than the one that we used to have 20, 30 years ago.
But also, you've got to ask yourself, we've had leadership, we've had schools, we've had universities that have put our country down, you know, and then you think, what young person says, you know, I want to fight for this country because it's the best country in the world?
Well, none of them are they? I mean, they've done studies where more than 50% of young people say, I wouldn't fight for Britain.
Well, exactly, and that's a problem. You know, you need to be proud of your country.
Also, what kind of country are you, right? And I talked about this on my show this morning, where a football match takes place in America between France and Morocco, right? And at some point in 11:30 last night, a lot of Moroccan hooligans get out on the street and start harassing women, start fighting the police, and start threatening to sort of break into shops. And what's going on?
Where's the police? And where's the statement from Sadiq Khan?
Right.
You know, because
why are all these Moroccans marauding around?
I know, because how can we say it? Not to sound, you know, we've let people in who have not signed up to Britain.
Well, they're not British, and they don't want to be.
They haven't signed up.
They don't want to be British.
No, they don't want to be British, and they're not grateful, and they're not thankful for everything this country has given them.
No.
And listen, I'm reading, haven't finished it yet, Lee Kuan Yew's book, who had similar instances in Singapore. And what he says, it's many different tongues, but one language.
Yeah.
Right, and it's that we need to
because
go back
Singapore
to.
works, doesn't it?
And
Singapore's got all of those different, you know, almost like this miasma of different Asian. You know, they've got Koreans there, they've got Japanese there, they've got Chinese, they've got Vietnamese, but they're all getting along fine because they're in Singapore.
Because they've also signed up to. You are here in Singapore. You will live according to Singaporean values and rules and languages. And if you're not happy with that, then this is not the place for you. And it's as simple as that.
Exactly, and that's exactly what we haven't. We've done the opposite of that.
Yeah.
We've had the sort of Sadiq Khanism of Britain, where he goes, you know, diversity is our strength, and everybody can come here, and the fact that you can go and buy a Jamaican patty in Brixton and a Gujarati, you know, samosa in Southall is great. Well, it's fine, but they all still. That's all good. I'm very much in favour of that, but still, they need to be somehow united in one common good, which is Britain.
I think diversity is not our strength. Unity is our strength.
Yeah.
You know, you might come from different parts of the world. You might have different religions, but you have to recognise that this is Britain, and we're all British, and we're all. I mean, I thank every single day that my parents came here.
Yeah.
You know, and when I speak to my mum, I'm like, Mum, what do you think when you see? So I grew up in Kelvin. And Kelvin, Queen's Park area, and it was when all the Irish were there.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah,
it was County Kelvin.
Yeah,
and
used to go to the Black Lion where they used to do collections for the IRA.
I think it was O'Brien, the O'Brien pub. It was always an IRA shooting, but there's no Irish there anymore.
No, they've moved out.
It's just a different demographic.
People tell me it's a real mess now, Kelvin.
Yeah, it definitely hasn't gentrified.
I mean, how about this, right? I was sitting watching the parade last night and looked over at the Foreign Office, and there were about 5 flags flying. 1 Union Jack, 1 Saltire Scottish flag, strangely. The other 3 are all Ukrainian.
Right.
I'm going, why have we got 3 Ukrainian flags flying above the Foreign Office? Well, I mean, you know, I've nothing against Ukraine, but this is Britain.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we have had the 4 flags of the 4 nations?
I mean, our councils, reform councils, got a lot of backlash for some of them took down the Ukraine flag and put the British flag because I think, of course, we support Ukraine.
Yeah.
But you know, you can't put the flag for every.
Yeah, but it's not Ukraine we live in.
No. And I think people in this country, people tell me, are sick and tired of leadership that have sacrificed British people in the interest of global partnerships, and they haven't prioritised those that are here.
Well, our own defences aren't working, but we've given billions to Ukraine, so that
Yeah.
those do. It doesn't make any sense.
We need to enforce. We need to reinforce our military, and I don't know if they're going to do it. The thing is, you have to believe in Britain, and you have to believe in borders, and you have to believe in sovereignty in order to believe in national defence.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know if we've had the leadership that's believed in that.
No, they haven't.
And that's why I support Nigel, because he has always fought for Britain, sovereignty. And it's interesting because I had a long conversation with Nigel, and he was talking about the wars. He is a history fanatic, a World War I and a World War II. And the way he talks about the soldiers and the sacrifice they made, and he was telling me how he was, some of his greatest times were when veterans' children asked him to go spread the ashes with them in the beaches, and he was almost tearing up. And I realised actually that Nigel's fight for Brexit was a love story for Britain. He loves this country. He loves what it stands, and he wants to honour the sacrifice that soldiers in the past have made to protect our sovereignty, protect our way of life, and that's where his passion for Brexit came about. And I said, Nigel, you know what? It's a love story for you. It's a love story for our country.
Sorry to interject. Producer time. Russ has got to go to a council meeting. So
Right.
Bye,
I've got to go.
Mike.
Good to see you.
Could chat forever.
Absolutely, we could. It's what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Anyway, good luck.
Thank you.
I'm sure
Thank you very
you'll need
much.
it.
Thank
See
you.
you soon.
Thank you.
Yep, go to Russ. There he is.
Hello, Russell. How are you?
And congratulations on this very auspicious day, your first show on UK Live. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's I'm not done. It is daunting.
No, there's nothing to it. It's easy.
It's easy. It's like we're having a chat.
Yeah, no, it's really not easy. And do you know what? People watch these things and think, oh, you just kind of sling it together. I mean, there is a bit of prep and there is a whole production team and, the technical side and so on. It's there is actually quite a lot that goes into these things. But the problem is, Laylee, I suspect you're going to make it look easy.
Oh, I don't think so. But what I want to do, Russ, is, as you know, we've had quite a bit of a week at Reform. And I think people watch politics, but they don't really get what we're talking about. So, us at Reform have spoken a lot about the establishment. I've had pushback on what the establishment is. There's been different definitions. So what does it actually mean? And I thought you and I could get into that, because some people have said, it's how much money you've got. It's if you went to private school.
It's really not. It's really not. I saw Jeremy Corbyn this morning was saying that Nigel Farage is part of the establishment because he's got money. I mean, that is absolutely not the definition. I'll tell you what the definition is from my point of view.
Yeah.
The establishment is actually a largely hidden, I think, quite dark and sinister force, often called the blob, which is made up of people with agendas, but that don't put their head above the parapet from a democratically elected perspective. So think about senior civil servants, permanent secretaries, think about the higher echelons of the police, think about charities with agendas, think about the judiciary, who are largely unaccountable. And so people that want to control the order of things by way of government, also things like the UN, the WEF, and definitely these climate zealotry organisations that effectively seek, by way of almost a subterfuge, later really, to control us, tell us what to do, push us in a direction which is generally left-leaning. This is the problem. But you don't know who they are, right? None of us really know individuals' names, but we know there is this kind of this bureaucratic creeping blob. Think of an old 1950s science fiction movie, when you've got this hideous kind of blobby, candy flossy, yucky thing kind of, manifesting itself as it kind of goes through the streets of Britain, consuming everything.
Oh, I can't hear them.
You don't really know what it is, or ultimately kind of what because they're not accountable.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. Oh, I can't hear him anymore.
As puppet masters, people like you and I, and the public.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if being rich made you the establishment, then every successful businessman would be the establishment, right? I mean, it doesn't. The argument doesn't hold true. A footballer would be the establishment. Every person that went to private school, every pop star. So that's obviously nonsense. For me, the establishment are politicians, civil service, quangos, and institutions that have basically run this country for the past, however many decades. Sometimes against the will of the people, right? With an ideology that nobody voted for. And Nigel's been fighting that for the past 30 years. And anyone who says that he's establishment is so out of touch, they don't quite understand what we mean when we talk, what the actual people mean when they talk about the establishment. And
yeah, it's subterfuge.
If there was any...
It's those that are not accountable, but also we should include later the left-leaning mainstream media.
Oh yeah, the press are definitely part of it. I mean, you've seen the pylon.
Yeah, the UK Labour, Mike Graham and others that are not now, and Ofcom, right? Ofcom is actually part of the establishment.
Yeah, so I can't hear him.
He's regulated and censored.
Yeah, no, so exactly. So that's why I wanted to break down what the establishment is, because it's not... it is people that have made the decisions to how this country is run. It's definitely, Nigel has not had any decision in the way this country is run. In fact, he's been shut out. And if every establishment closes ranks so quickly, it's the fact that they've all decided, as a group, they went to speak to the Speaker and decided that they're not going to run in this by-election. And what's even worse is you've got Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the Conservative Party, who actually had the audacity to say that Count Binface represents the people. It is such contempt for the people of Clacton. It is such contempt for democracy. And imagine being in Clacton and thinking, wow, none of the other parties think we're worth fighting for. This is their one chance. They keep saying Nigel's indefensible.
I tell you what Count Binface is. Count Binface now will absolutely be part of the establishment. Count Binface is the one that by proxy is the uni party, is the establishment, because the Conservatives, Labour, the Lib Dems and the Greens are now rallying behind Jonathan. Let's call him who he is. His name is Jonathan. This Count Binface thing is a complete distraction, frankly. He's a left-wing BBC employee stroke comedian that now is going to galvanise the establishment and the left against Nigel, who is the ultimate anti-establishment politician. This has just stopped being about comedy. This is not funny anymore, right? This is the Conservatives, Labour, the Uni Party and the Lib Dems and others effectively using a parody character to try and stop Nigel Farage being elected and then ultimately becoming Prime Minister to save this country. It ain't funny. It's sinister. And it's all part of the blob. It's all part of the mainstream media's approach and the civil service and the judiciary and so on to try and run Britain like puppet masters, but without being accountable.
And yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. But it's the accountability that counts, right? So you've got the Conservatives and Labour that tried to cancel local elections for millions of people 2 years in a row. You've got Andy Burnham, who is not going to call a general election, who's going to be anointed as Prime Minister without any competition. And they have the audacity to tell us that this is a fast by-election. We are the only ones that went to court to get the local elections going, get them to happen, and we're the only one. Nigel's calling a by-election, and they run away from democratic accountability. We run towards it because we are the only people that are talking for the people. We believe in the people. We believe that the people are the final judges. They're the final arbiter, and that is democracy. But they somehow don't. They feel that Nigel should be judged by political insiders, right?
But and
that's what counts.
The ridiculous thing now is that Nigel had the balls to call a by-election, which he might have lost if he'd gone up against, let's say, the traditional parties. The traditional parties have lost their bottle. They have become evident as cowards. They know that they can't beat him. But this narrative now, Layla, which is, it's Nigel versus a bin. It's backfired on you. How ridiculous. No.
I know.
Nigel called the by-election in full knowledge, in good faith, that he would take the fight to Labour, the Conservatives, Lib Dems and Greens, all comers, bring it on, literally bring it on. It's their cowardice now that has led to Count Binface being the proxy vote, the kind of galvanisation of the blob, the establishment and the left. This isn't a backfiring on reform. This is a backfiring on the establishment. This shows them, the blob, the left, the mainstream media, the establishment, exactly for what it is. Exactly.
And don't forget, in 2019, the Conservative Party got 31,000 votes in Clacton. You know, and so they could be in the game. And I can guarantee you, Russell, that if they had any hope of winning in Clacton, they would field a candidate. And the only reason they're not fielding a candidate is because they know that they're going to lose. That's it.
Of course.
It's as simple as that. And so they're trying to delegitimize it by saying, oh, you're going to run against a bin. That's not on Nigel. That's on them.
But it's not a bin. Later, we've got to call him for. He's Jonathan.
I know he's not a bin. But that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying.
No, they are. But that narrative, it's very convenient. You see, as a parody. It's you're going to compete against a bin. It is Jonathan from the BBC, who is a left-wing comedian, right? Actually, ballot paper. I hope the returning officer, frankly, Layla, does not allow Count Binface to go on the ballot paper. What it should say is Jonathan Harvey, which I think is his full name.
You make a good point, Russell. Sorry.
To disrupt this,
How is it in a democracy that someone can run without showing their face?
Yeah, their face or their name. I
don't understand it. How is that legal?
Yeah, I know his name and you do as well. Well, here's a plea to the, I think it's the tendering chief executive will be the returning officer. On the ballot paper, as you know, on your nomination form, lady, you can put down also known as or commonly known as. Well, in normal society, Jonathan Harvey is not known as Count Binface. His mates in the pub don't call him Count Binface. His auntie doesn't call him Count Binface. It is a parody label that he has constructed recently for the purposes of kind of, I would say, political advancement. So,
well, you know why he does it. The reason why he runs is to make a mockery of democracy.
Yes,
right? He makes a mockery of an election. That's why he runs in different elections, and all parties have subscribed to a mockery of democracy. Their contemptuous, their contempt for the people of Clacton is so disgusting, and it's so clear that it shows. All they do, Russell, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, every political speech, every conference, every public appearance the leaders of these parties makes is to attack Nigel and to attack reform. It's all they've done for the past year, right? Yeah. This is their one chance to put their arguments to an electorate, right? Quite an important electorate, an electorate that the Tories, had in 2019, and they're like, we're not going to do it. Why do you think? And they keep saying, we're going to do it. We're going to hang on. They say we're going to do it. We're going to do it for the second by-election. Do they know? Do they know there's going to be a second one?
The second by-election that Kemi Badenoch slipped, is happening, right? So it looks like that's a fait accompli, which maybe it's because Kevin Hollinrake, the chairman of the Conservatives, has just been busted for trying to absolutely inappropriately nobble the Standards Commissioner.
Tell us more about that, Russell. Tell the viewers, because I don't think they know. What is the chairman of the Conservative Party
This is right. So Kevin Hollinrake is a good guy. Right? I know Kevin Hollinrake because he's the ex-chairman of Hunter's Estate. I know him from a different world. He's a good guy, but I think that he has been influenced by Kemi Badenoch and the Conservatives. And this looks to be true in terms of him having now been found out to have lobbied the Parliamentary Standards Commissioner, the person that's in charge of the Farage investigation, seemingly to try to make the Parliamentary Standards Commissioner come down more heavily on Nigel than otherwise. He has just been busted. Now, there is now an investigation, a formal investigation into Kevin Hollinrake as chairman of the Conservative Party. Now, go figure. If that isn't the establishment trying to help itself by speaking to its mates in the establishment to bring about a different outcome that is completely unjust and completely imbalanced. I mean, in your world, in law, Layla, it would be seen as nobbling a jury. It's jury nobbling.
I have a super chat, Russell. Sorry, from...
Who funds Jonathan Harvey? I can see it. Can I tell you who funds Jonathan Harvey? Let me tell you. So the person... You got me ranting now, Layla.
Good.
Jonathan Harvey is funded by Dale Vince. Dale Vince is an eco-zealot.
Well, he said he wants to fund him. I'm not sure if he is.
He said he's going to, right? So it's
he said he's going to. I don't know if he still is, but he doesn't need any funding.
He's a Labour donor. I know. So look, this is so obvious for all to see, right?
So
You've got
let's break
Nigel
it down.
Farage, who is Nigel
Let's
Farage,
break it
who
down, the establishment. You've got the Conservative chairman lobbying the Parliamentary Standards chair to go hard on Nigel. You've got one of the biggest Labour donors who wants to fund Jonathan, aka Count Binface. You've got none of the parties that have stood against Nigel. You've got all the newspapers are talking about reform every single day. None of them have mentioned Kevin Hollinrake in this latest scandal. I don't see that on the front page. I've got the front page. I've got the front page in front of me.
But of course we will.
Also, we will, of course. But also, Russell, how about the billions of pounds worth of government contracts that the Conservatives over 10 years have given to their donors? How about the fact that as soon as the Labour government came in, they gave £138 million of government contracts to donors? If people really want to research the intersection, the evil intersection between money and politics, why don't they investigate that? What did Nigel do when you break it down? Has anything changed? Yeah.
A few days before the election was called in 2024, an anonymous almost Cayman Islands hedge fund abroad, therefore, donated £5 million to the Labour Party. I wonder what they wanted in return.
I think it was 4.
What does Dale Vince want in return? So, anyway, Layla, I've got a council meeting that I'm now 7 minutes late for.
Well, I'll tell you what Dale Vince wants in return. He's getting exactly what he wants because he will getting net zero madness. And you've seen Ed Miliband is going harder and quicker and stronger than ever before. You know, the day that Elon Musk, launched his IPO, sending rockets into space. I think Ed Miliband was trying to enforce us how many hours we can use our towel rails.
Layla, listen, I've got to go.
Is getting. Okay, sorry.
Meeting. I should have been on 7 minutes ago, but I'd much rather be doing it. And frankly, I could do this all day with you, and I'm sure we'll do it again. Have a fantastic rest of the show. Guess what my council meeting is about now. Guess what it's about. The officers trying to tell members what they can and can't say in the election period in Essex because of Nigel Farage's by-election.
Wow.
So and I've already said to them, make sure you're accurate in your guidance to me, because if you tell me that I can or can't do something that isn't prescribed actually in the law, there will be hell to pay, because my freedom of speech is very, very important, even at election time, arguably even more so. Got to go. See you later.
Bye, Russell. Good luck.
Cheers.
Well, there you have it. Now, it would be good to have a poll. Who do you think the establishment? What do you think the establishment means when they talk about it? And do you think, like the Tories, Labour, Lib Dems, that Nigel's part of the establishment? We know he's not, but I'd like to know what you think. We are going to go to the news now, I believe. Let's see if they mention Kevin Hollinrake's latest scandal.
Fiona MacLeod with your Friday instalment. Marvellous start to the day, Britain. The heatwave's still roasting us like a dodgy barbecue, but the real sizzle is in Labour HQ. Andy Burnham's victory lap to number 10 is basically a done deal. 322 MPS have crowned him the next PM in the world's fastest, least competitive leadership contest. Keir who? Fresh off the coronation, Burnham's already dodging his first mutiny. Nearly 80 Labour backbenchers are whinging about his Home Secretary's immigration plans and demanding a U-turn. Meanwhile, he's signalling a tougher line on Israel over Gaza because Britain was too slow. Brilliant. New boss, same chaotic energy, just with better regional accents. Past the factor 50 and the popcorn see ya later alligator.
And we are back. And now listen, speaking of the Uniparty, I'll let you know who our next guest is. But I'd like to read some super chats. Can we have some on screen? Super chat. Ooh, that's a big one. What's in? Thank you, LC, for coming to America and celebrating our freedom. Hell yeah. I will definitely be watching your show and so happy to see your first TV show. Watching from Malibu, California. Cheering for reform and a long-time Nigel Farage supporter. God bless him. You know what, Watson, I don't know what your real name is. I spent some time in California playing basketball not far from you. And my favorite place is a pickup game on Venice Beach. And this is like in the 90s. And the best part of playing there is all the back chat, it's the best. It's the California's one of the best places. in the world, actually. It's gorgeous, and it's being ruined by politics. Another super chat, another strong voice with a hand clap. Thank you very much, Sarah. Another super chat. With the passing of Anne Widdecombe, it seems you are the new queen of common sense. You know what? She led the way. Super chat from Chris. I think it initially looked bad. Then they had a guy with a bin on his head on Newsnight, and other leaders gave an endorsement to him. They showed their true colours and shot themselves in the foot. I agree. They're trying to put it on Nigel, the fact that there's a bin running against him. It's not on him. It's on every other party that was too chicken to run against him. Another super chat. Welcome, Layla, to the best TV show. Just be yourself. You'll be okay. Sad news about Anne. It is very sad news. Please don't give up what you're doing at Reform. P.S. You're much better looking than Mike. Well, I've got more makeup on.
Right, here we go. We've got Lord Moylan now.
Now I've got Lord Moylan, a Conservative life peer, hats off to him, Deputy Chairman of TfL. Oh, we're going to have a bit of a chat about that. And we're going to talk about people versus the establishment. Hello, Lord Moylan. Moylan, thank you very much for joining.
Good morning, Layla.
How are you doing this morning?
Well, I'm hot like everybody else, but I'm coping. I'm trying to stay fresh. I don't have a makeup artist to look after me here at home, but so forgive me if I'm looking a little bit sort of glowing around the edges.
Well, we could have sent one to you if it was really necessary, but you look great.
You never had that offer. You never made that when you did the booking.
Well, I'll talk to the booking team. It's essential.
Thank you.
It's interesting that you were deputy chairman of the TfL, so it's good you didn't have to take the tube. That's some of it is dangerously hot, especially the Central Line.
I was on the tube yesterday. The Central Line has been dangerously hot for decades now.
Yeah, that's my line.
Even in cold weather, it's dangerously hot. But we have, when I was deputy chairman of TfL, which I have to say I stopped in 2016 because Sadiq Khan preferred somebody else to me, which is his right. We'd already started introducing air-conditioned trains on the Circle Line, the Hammersmith City Line.
Oh, the Circle Line's amazing. I agree.
District Line.
Thank you.
And so on. So all of those, and the Metropolitan Line. So all of those trains are air-conditioned, and that's fantastic. And we started ordering, although Sadiq Khan is claiming the credit for it, I don't blame him. But we had already started the design of the new Piccadilly Line trains, which I don't think you've seen yet, which will also be air-conditioned. So slowly air conditioning is coming to the London Underground network.
My line growing up is the Bakerloo line, and that is woefully archaic. It's so old and antiquated.
It is.
Still. Yeah. It's a terrible line. But you're a Conservative life peer, and so yes. I guess so let's explain that to people. So that means that you are forever going to legislate for us.
I won't live forever, Layla.
Well, hopefully you'll live a very long life, and during that very long, fruitful life, you will be in the House of Lords deciding on legislation for the country. Am I correct?
Well, deciding is an interesting point there, because what we do is we sort of pretend to decide, and we pass votes and we change legislation. But if the Commons doesn't like what we do, they just change it back. And in the end, we give way to them. So the decision making really happens in the Commons. What we're doing is going through the legislation in a way. Let me finish. What we're doing is going through the legislation in a lot of detail, in a way that the Commons used to, but doesn't do anymore because they're all so busy doing other things. So they don't do detailed legislative scrutiny. But we do, and then we sort of change it, and we make suggestions of how to change it, and then they say no, so sometimes we press a bit harder. But in the end, if they want to say no, they get their way, because we give in to them. They're the democratically elected House.
Yeah, so just to hit on your second point, your last point, they are a democratically elected House. Yeah. And a lot of countries have two democratically elected houses. You know, you have America, and there is the argument, and just so people, so we have the Parliament, which is all the MPs that we vote for, which is a democratically elected House, which rightly so have the final say, because again, they do have democratic accountability, something that we are the only party seeking at this instant. And then you have the House of Lords, which, correct me if I'm wrong, was created as meant to be filled with experts to aid the members of Parliament who may not be experts in certain fields.
No, the House of Lords was created to advise the king and to give a role for the great barons of the Middle Ages to participate in legislation. And it's only recently, in the last couple of hundred years, that the Commons has become more important than the Lords. So we were created.
Go on, please.
Yeah, we're older than the Commons in many ways.
But if you look at it in recent times, in recent history, it really is.
In recent history, nobody has had a clear idea what the House of Lords is for. There
Which is a problem.
It's only a problem if you're unhappy about it. So the House of Lords has found a job to do, and the job it does is detailed scrutiny of legislation. And a lot of people work very hard, give a lot of time to debating legislation in a great deal of detail and exposing very often the faults in it, the mistakes in it, and things like that, things that could be done better. And sometimes many of the things it suggests are adopted by the government because they've said, wow, we never saw all of that, or yes, this is a better way of doing it. And sometimes they're not. But it is very much the Commons that has the final say in it. So the House of Lords has found a role for itself. Now, you raised the question about whether it should be democratically elected. And of course, we're a democracy. There's always going to be an argument that the upper chamber should be elected. Of course, I completely understand that. I've got no problem if that's what we decide to do. It'd be a big constitutional change. But every time because this is not a new idea, it's been tried, over the last 130, 140 years, there have been proposals for a democratically elected House of Lords, and every time it's been stopped by the House of Commons, because the House of Commons doesn't want a democratically elected rival. It wants to be top dog. It wants to be the House that always has the final say. So we're left the way we are.
Lord Moyler, let me ask you a question. So you do say that you scrutinise legislation, trying to improve it or whatever the term you use.
Or sometimes defeat it, yeah.
Yeah, of course. But I think the issue many people have with the House of Lords is if that is the role and if that is what you're going to do, we have to have people who actually have the talent to do that. And right now, what we've seen is that it is no longer, people appointed, people sent to the House of Lords are not experts. It's given as a favour or a thank you or a consolation prize for those that have failed. And I think the question is the House of Lords, does it still have the expertise that is necessary to provide that oversight to legislation when those appointed to it happen to be Labour cronies, Conservative cronies, and not experts in their field? That is the issue I have with it, and I think that is the issue many people have with it.
When did you last come to debate on legislation in the House of Lords? For example, on online safety, cyber security we've been doing recently, which is, I don't understand. We're not all experts in everything. I don't understand cyber security.
Should we have a cyber security expert there if we're going to debate
We
it?
do have we have lots of people who know about cyber security. But when did you last come and listen? Or you don't have to come. You can watch it on the Parliament Live TV website. And I think you will be very impressed by the quality of debate.
Lord Moyler,
courtesy of debate. So I think you'll find there's lots of expertise, and there are lots of people who are not experts but bring common sense to bear on many of these things, which I think is also very, very important. And yes, you do get some peerages given to cronies, and you do get some peerages given to people as a sort of honour. I was introduced to the House of Lords on the same day as Ian Botham. That was an honour, giving him, Boris wanted to give him an honour because of his tremendous cricketing career. He's never actually come to the House of Lords.
But he's given a huge service. He's not a crony. I don't mind Ian Botham.
I agree. He's given huge service, but he doesn't come to the House of Lords.
But I don't.
He's not an expert in anything as far as I'm aware.
He's an expert in cricket. You know what he's an expert in?
Yeah, but we don't debate. We don't have laws on. We don't make laws about cricket. Thank God.
No. But he's an expert on success. He's an expert on drive, on competition and success. And for me,
Yeah, that great man.
that is something that is needed. I don't see what, and that is something to be rewarded and to be applauded and something that we need in the country. So I don't mind a great sportsman going to the House of Lords,
Yeah.
but I do mind cronies who have no expertise in anything, who are simply just put in the House of Lords as a thank you for supporting me. I mean, you saw Kemi Badenoch put a lot of people in the House of Lords just for supporting her leadership bid. They didn't really bring. Well, I'm not going to.
Who are you thinking?
Well, I'm not
Well,
going to
I
name
think
any
you
names.
think you have to name names,
No,
Layla, if you're going to make accusations.
I'm not
I
here
think
to
if you're going to make
demonize.
accusations like that about Kemi Badenoch, you have to be able to name names. There are sometimes people you could call cronies who get into the House of Lords. I'm not aware of Kemi Badenoch putting any cronies into the House of Lords, but sometimes it does happen. I grant you. But what tends to happen with those people is, because it's not a full-time house, because you do as much in the House of Lords as you feel you want to. I do it pretty full time at the moment because I'm the front bench spokesman on transport for the opposition, and I do it pretty well full time. But I won't do it full time forever. And other people, they sort of come and go and they participate, they things to know about. Very often the people you call cronies never turn up. We never see them. They don't have any effect on legislation. They just take the title and they go around and put it on their cards, and call themselves Lord Muck, and that's fine, and get the better tables in restaurants. That's it.
If they don't turn up, then again, it's a further mockery of.
No, it's not a
great
further
parliamentary
mockery.
system. Yes, I do.
It isn't.
Why should
Remember,
they be in the House of Lords?
They don't get. It's a part-time house. They don't get, if they don't turn up, they don't get paid, and they have no say. It's just like having a title, because
Why
we've
should they
always
have the
had this
title?
mixed
Why should they have
system.
the title if they don't turn up? Well, that is a title.
Well, you've just
that is
given
an
me
honour to have.
Ian Botham has never turned up except for his maiden speech, but you've just said he should be in the House of Lords because of his great cricketing record and his example.
If he doesn't turn up, then no, I don't think he should.
Ambition. Oh, well, you've changed your mind. I don't know.
No.
You don't seem to know a lot about how the House of Lords works. So
why don't you enlighten me? Look, Lloyd Moylan.
Well, I'm trying to enlighten you. I am enlightening.
Can I just interrupt? Sorry a second. You mistake what I said. I said I don't have any problem with Ian Botham being appointed to the House of Lords. Now, right, that is a completely different thing. If he does not partake in the process and the honour of being appointed in the House of Lords, then I do not think he deserves a place. That is a different point. And what I'm saying is, when you are talking about how you scrutinise legislation, people would expect that those scrutinising our legislation, those that have the honour of legislating for us or having any kind of involvement in our legislation for their life, one would expect them to have a certain talent or an expertise, whether it's success in a certain field, something. And what people have issue with is when it's cronies that are
they do, but then you keep talking about cronies. But when I ask, and you say Kemi Badenoch put cronies in the House of Lords, but when I ask you to name them, you don't name them, so I can't comment on whether they've gotten the ability.
I'm not asking you to comment about individuals.
So who are the cronies?
I'm asking you to comment on the particular concept of putting cronies in the House of Lords, whether it's by the Conservatives.
Yeah, we don't want cronies in the House of Lords. I'm with you. So you tell me it's full of cronies. But I'm telling you, if there are cronies, I don't think they should be have been put in the House of Lords. People shouldn't be put in the House of Lords just because they're a crony. So Keir Starmer put his best friend in the House of Lords to be the Attorney General, his best and closest friend to be the Attorney General. But it also happens to be the case that although I disagree with him about nearly everything, that particular man, who's Lord Hermer, is a very qualified lawyer and probably qualified to be Attorney General. So sometimes you have friends who are actually qualified. Are they cronies? I don't know. It's judgment.
But you have also cronies that are not qualified. So you made a point, Lord Moylan, which is interesting.
Who are we talking about?
You told me. I'm talking about a concept. We can sit here and name them
Yeah,
and
we're talking
demonize them.
about a
I'm not doing that.
concept.
I'm trying to
And I'm
explain to the
agreeing with
viewers.
you. The concept is a bad thing.
Well, there you
So
go. That's
that's
it.
fine.
So what I'm saying is,
the
and
next
that
question then
undermines.
is the concept actually happening? And every time I ask you to give me examples, you don't give me any examples because you
Because
don't.
I'm
You
not
need to be
here.
better prepared for this, don't you?
No,
It's
I
no
don't need to be
good
better
just
prepared.
going round ranting, Layla, which is very much your thing, about the establishment and the blob and the cronies who are filling everything. That's fine. None of us believe, I certainly don't believe in supporting the blob, and I don't believe in cronies. But then when it comes to detail, like all ranters, you just fall apart.
Lord Moylan, I take offence to that. I could give you a big
Well,
list of
I'm
names
sorry.
of cronies, but I'm not going to sit.
Okay.
I'm not here to list names of cronies. I know some of them. There's a lot list. Boris put cronies in. Kemi put cronies in. Starmer put cronies in. And the fact that you can sit and look at our viewers and deny that is kind of contemptuous, because we all know that's the way the House of Lords works. And you
Well,
make
I
an
didn't
interesting
deny
point.
it. I'm
No,
asking you to tell
exactly.
me
So I
who
don't
these
want to list
talented
names. That is
people
my
are.
choice.
So
I
there are a
don't
lot
want
of
to list
people
names.
who say, because I worked for Boris very closely for 8 years, that I was a Boris crony. But I'm the front bench opposition spokesman on transport, and I have some credentials in that. I was, as you said, I was deputy chairman on the board of Transport for London for 8 years. Before that, I did transport policy in a local authority. I've got some knowledge and experience of transport, and I think I'm reasonably well qualified to do the job of representing the Conservative voice in the House of Lords on transport policy.
So Lord Moylan,
It doesn't
called
stop
me.
people saying I'm a crony because I'm a friend of Boris's and he put me in the Lords.
So you've called me a ranter.
Well, you
Thank
are
you for
ranting.
that.
I listened to your previous session.
I'm not ranting at all. What I'm talking about is I'm complaining about the system, and that you may see that as rant. The thing is, you are part of the system. You are part of the establishment. So obviously, you would call anyone who speaks against it as ranting. And you made an interesting point,
This
Lord
is just
Moylan.
another technique. This is another technique for trying to prevent.
You made. Could I?
I'm
So this is
interested
my
in
interview.
evidence.
If you would let me speak, you
I'm
made an interesting
interested in
point.
evidence.
In that
You are asking the question, Layla, quite right.
Well, no, you accuse me of not knowing how the House of Lords works, correct? Is that not a problem? Hang on. Is that not a problem?
You seem to
that
be
someone...
surprised that it's a part-time house.
No,
and that
I'm not
people,
surprised.
People who have expertise don't turn up for everything. If you're an expert, if you
I
used to
didn't
be
say that. I didn't. All
if
I'm
you're a
saying is,
leading nurse, you have experience of nursing or the law, whatever. You don't turn up necessarily to talk about cybersecurity.
okay. So
You talk about things to do with nursing and social care and stuff like
okay.
that.
So let's break down what you've told our viewers today, right? You've told our viewers that you can be appointed to the House of Lords, be called a lord in our great country, and not do anything, right? You've told us that it is not a full-time job, and you don't have to turn up. You are paid £300 every time you turn up. Am I correct? By the taxpayer?
If you claim it, but the figure is now I'm going to help you here, Layla. The figure is now.
Well, let me just list it so people know the benefits. Okay, go on. 300 and.
I would say the figure is now £390 a day.
Wow.
You need full transparency about this.
So you could turn up to the House of Lords, sit down there and not speak and get paid almost £400 a day. Is that correct?
You could.
Yeah.
If you claimed it.
I believe your food is subsidised as well.
It's not automatic. No, that's complete rubbish. I mean, there are some canteens that are I've never found this subsidised food. There are some canteens in the House of Lords that are subsidised, which are open to all the staff and the police, and there are 10,000 people who work in the Palace of Westminster. And there is a canteen. There are several canteens for people who want to have lunches and need to have working late, everything, and so on. And they do have subsidised food. But if you want to come and have dinner in the Peers dining room, if I took you to Layla to dinner in the Peers dining room, which I'd be delighted to do, you would be upset to see the prices.
Okay, so
it depends. It depends where you eat.
So people watching this, if they rock up to work and they get paid £400 a day and they sit there and do nothing, it's non-existent, right? But somehow in the House of Lords, the taxpayer has to fork out £400 a day for someone in the House of Lords who perhaps has no expertise in anything, has just been awarded because they're a mate of Boris, of Kemi, of Starmer. They can stand there in the House of Lords, sit there and do absolutely nothing and get paid £400 by the taxpayer, and in some canteens get their food subsidised. This doesn't happen in the private sector. And so when you tell me...
No, well, it's not a private sector enterprise. And I think
no, I understand that. And that is
fair to say. But you can see who is claiming and how much they're claiming every month it's published.
And they're allowed to claim.
You see that many peers don't. You can also claim a half rate if you want to. If you don't want to claim the full rate, or you can claim you don't make a claim at all. So different peers have different approaches to this. But you could say we'd have a House of Lords where people are paid nothing.
But the question is...
That is also the case. But then the only people who'd ever be able to sit in it are people with very large incomes or large savings.
So the question is...
what you'd want?
What you're saying, Lord Moylan, is that it is a choice. I could go to the House of Lords every single day, sit down and listen, and not really give anything to the country and get paid £400. But I've just actually... You accuse me
every
of...
Sitting day. Every sitting day.
Which is a nice salary. And I don't think that's available to most. So all I'm saying is that if you're appointed to the House of Lords and you can go every single day, at your choice, by the way, I could go Monday, I could go Wednesday, no other really institution offers that kind of freedom, I would expect that the people who are appointed to the House of Lords are appointed for a reason, and that reason must be an expertise or something that they bring to the House. Now, I just want to ask you, Lord Moylan, you say that I'm ranting and I lack detail. So Charlotte Owen, who was appointed by Boris at the age of 29 after serving as a relatively junior special advisor, she's often cited as an example of cronyism. Ross Kempsell, another young former Johnson aide, elevated in the same list. Peter Cruddas, I think he gave millions to the party. Is that what they call cash for favours? You've got Lebedev. You've got other allies. Oh, I didn't realise. I forgot. Boris Johnson sent his brother to the House of Lords. You see, all these things. It doesn't really instill confidence in the process. And it feels that it is a closed shop and a club for those that were friends with Boris or other leaders. And it's a club that lords over us, that we pay for and tell us what to do. And then, Lord Moylan, you tell me that I don't quite know what the House of Lords, as if I'm ignorant because I don't know how the House of Lords works. Yeah, I'm in politics, and I believe that's not on me. That is a problem with the system. The fact that I'm not aware of how this great institution works is a problem, right? It is not because of me.
I agree with that.
But you almost said it with disdain. You said it as a way... No, hang on.
Sorry.
Let me just speak, sir. Let me just speak, Lord Moylan. You said it in a way to put me down and to say that I was not across of the detail and I'm just ranting, right? But for me, it is a problem that I don't actually understand. It is a problem that the people of this country don't understand how the House of Lords works, because it is a problem because the people who wake up every day to go to work, they pay for the House of Lords. So they have every right to question its legitimacy. They have every right to question who's appointed to it. And you are almost saying, you are saying that I'm ranting when I ask.
Well, you're clearly ranting now. I mean, it is a problem if somebody who is trying to become mayor of London doesn't actually understand how the other parts of the Constitution work. But it's clearly, I agree with you, that people should... Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry. Sorry, your picture vanished off the screen. I agree with you. People should know more about how the Lords and indeed the Commons works, and it would be much better if it did. I do agree with you that there are some people who've gone in who are cronies, but most of the people in are expertise. They work very hard. They have expertise. They work very hard. Some of them turn up a lot. Some of them don't turn up at all. If you do turn up and do some parliamentary work, then you're entitled to claim an allowance. Not everybody claims the allowance. If there wasn't an allowance, then nobody could actually go into the House of Lords who wasn't a rich bugger. And then you just have a house of rich people, which is, I don't think is a good idea. I think there should be a spread of people there. And there is a spread of people there. There is quite a good spread of people there. There are other criticisms you haven't made of the House of Lords that I think you should.
Well, I don't want to go on and rant too long, Lord Moylan, because it seems that your definition of ranting.
Let me do it for you.
No, because we're going to end this. We've run over actually, but I'm going to end on this, and I think this is the issue: is that ranting is quite a derogatory term, and the fact that you say that the fact that me complaining or asking difficult questions about the House of Lords is framed, in your opinion, as ranting. And the fact that I'm asking you to clarify how the House of Lords works to our viewers, you say I'm not across the detail, is a bit of the problem. Because complaining and questioning the way our system works, questioning what the establishment is, and questioning who is paid what and who governs us for life is not called ranting. It's called accountability.
I've tried to answer all your questions.
The House of Lords
I've tried to answer all your questions.
No, you've accused me of ranting, you've accused me of ranting many times in this interview, and you've also accused me of not being across the detail. But I think it is. This is there is. Well, I've given you some names now. There is a disdain for people like me, or people who are not part of what I like to call the establishment, who dare to question the legitimacy of those that lord over us. And it's not called a rant. It is called asking for accountability and wanting to know what the hell is going on. Thank you very much, Lord Moylan. Hopefully we speak again, and I'll take you up on that dinner invite.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Can't wait. Thank you. Well, phew. I don't know if that made it clearer for you what the House of Lords does. It definitely didn't do it to me, but I know that if I was a senior, when I was at the Crown Prosecution Service, if I rocked up and said, you know what, I'm just going to rock up today to court, I'm not going to speak, I'm not going to do anything, but I still want to collect my £400, I'd be fired. How about you? How about your job? Can you just rock up to your job and get £400 and not do anything, and then go to the canteen and get subsidised food? No. But apparently if you question it, if you ask any questions, you are ranting. There you go. Who's our next guest?
No, we'll go to news now.
We're going to go to news. See you in a bit.
Hello, I'm Fiona MacLeod with your Friday instalment. Marvellous start to the day, Britain. The heatwave's still roasting us like a dodgy barbecue, but the real sizzle is in Labour HQ. Andy Burnham's victory lap to number 10 is basically a done deal. 322 MPS have crowned him the next PM in the world's fastest, least competitive leadership contest. Keir who? Fresh off the coronation, Burnham's already dodging his first mutiny. Nearly 80 Labour backbenchers are whinging about his Home Secretary's immigration plans and demanding a U-turn. Meanwhile, he's signalling a tougher line on Israel over Gaza because Britain was too slow. Brilliant. New boss, same chaotic energy, just with better regional accents. Past the factor 50 and the popcorn see ya later alligator.
Voted. Welcome back. I think we have some super chats. Let's have a look. Thoughts on Rupert Lowe's recent Dunblane comments? Honestly, I could not believe it. I could not. I mean, as a mother, the horror of Dunblane is etched in my mind. The thought of dropping my children off and at any nursery or any school and hearing that, it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. Super chat. Hi, Layla. Great to see you here. Please talk about Sadiq Khan, Mayor of London, lying in his book, Breathe. I didn't even know he wrote a book. How does he have the time? How to win a greener world. On page 195, making false claims about swastikas. You can beat Khan. We are going to beat Khan. I heard about that. Did he lie about some kind of van with a swastika in front of his house? And apparently someone traced the owner of the van and it was a lie. That's why, I mean, you know what? And the problem with Sadiq Khan is that if you criticize London, you're Islamophobic. That's why he said, oh, they can't stand having a London mayor that's Muslim. Mate, it's got nothing to do with your religion. Instead of accusing people of ranting, why not sit back and listen? They're always on the defensive. There's no accountability. I mean, exactly. Listen, I may have been a bit aggressive. I may have ranted a bit. I don't even know. I think ranting is quite a derogatory term, but I mean, you come on my show and you accuse me of ranting. I just, hello, Sweet Freedom again. 20 quid from Sweet Freedom. Thank you. But I just feel like, I think we should question the House of Lords. You know, whenever people talk about reform winning the election, the number one pushback we get, and I find it remarkable, is what are you going to do about the House of Lords that's going to stop you? And I'm like, hang on. The House of Lords, an unelected body, is going to try and stop a democratic mandate. Then you've got to question, do we have democracy? And then when you ask questions of someone who's in the House of Lords, you're accused of ranting and not being across the detail, because I didn't want to name and shame all the cronies that they've appointed. I'm not here to name and shame. I'm here to break down the system in simple terms and understand how it serves us or doesn't serve us. But he was obviously interested in naming and shaming. I did name a few. It's a longer list than that. But I think we do need more accountability from the House of Lords, because what people don't realise, we're paying them 400 quid. I think it was only 300 a few years ago. Has that gone up higher than inflation? It's definitely gone up more than wages. Anyway, we have Steve Allen, a comedian. I love a comedian. Did you know that London has the highest number of, and I could be wrong, but I saw this stat a while back, of stand-up comedy gigs per capita than anywhere else in the world?
Yeah, makes total sense. It's one of the best places. I was living in London when I started doing comedy, because the thing with stand-up, you've got to do loads of open mic things, trying to build your 10,000 hours, as Gladwell says, but you've got to do it 5 minutes at a time on stage. The best place to be. The people come from all over the world to just live for a few years in London to do comedy, to learn comedy. There are tons of Canadians and Australians on the circuit, because to do it in their country, you've got to fly for 15 hours to find your nearest gig.
Right.
Whereas in London, you can do 6 gigs a night. I mean, it's exhausting to try and do it, and you've got to hope that you can get there on the tube. But yeah, in terms of comedy, there is no greater epicenter than London, definitely.
Great. I mean, my husband and I are big stand-up comedy fans. And what's the best thing about London is that you rock up to a pub like on an open mic and the best comedies. And it's 10 quid and you sit and you're entertained in the best way. I love comedy. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons I got into comedy is I used to love going to see stand-up, and maybe this is a bit glass half full, but one of the great things about the kind of gigs you get just upstairs, random evening, random pub, is you can see some comedians that make you think, I could probably do this. If they're getting away with it, I reckon I'd have a go at that. And that's how I got into it, yeah, seeing people not do well.
That, Steve. I had dreams of being a stand-up comic as well. I was going through a really difficult divorce, difficult time with my husband. And I did take to stand-up comedy for a very short while, and I kind of enjoyed it. And my topic was divorce of my husband and the system. You know, and I'm still ranting against the system. How the system, you know, when you go to I don't know. I remember, you go and you want to return something in a shop, and I'm like, I don't have my receipt, and you're like, but I just bought it off you. You're the one that served me. Please, can I return it? The receipt. I don't know. I lost it, and they're like, the system won't let me.
Firstly, I wouldn't say that you're ranting against it, because I don't want to upset you. But,
sorry, Steve. Am I ranting again?
Don't want to use the R word. But no, you're exactly right. I had a problem. This is the internet. I can say Argos. I once bought a case from Argos, took it on holiday, and the handle broke. So I took it back, and I said, the handle broke. This is what you want from a case, is the ability to pick it up. That's kind of what cases are for. I'd like to return it. And they said, do you have the box? Because I don't have the box. Why was it in a box in the first place? Is the thing you carry. No, I don't have the box. I've got the broken case. And they said, we can't give you a refund. We can replace it with another one. And I said, the one you replace it with, will it be in the box? And they said, yes. I said, could I return it then? And he looked at me like, you've got round the system, you git. And I just got my money back. But you're right. Pointless rules. This is the way that it works, isn't it? Pointless rules that people just enact. Yeah.
It's like we live in this system that it's the excuse for everything. The system won't allow it. That, can I change my plane ticket? No, sorry, the system won't allow it. The omnipotent system. Do you think stand-up comedy? So we obviously had a massive woke era in the past few years. Did you have to tone it down at all? Did you find stand-up comics, for fear of being cancelled, had to tone it down? And is that reversing? Because I think we are the best country in the world for comedy. right? We do comedy in a way that no other country does. And it's that British wit that is just indescribable, and you can't mimic it. And so tell us how it's evolved, because I think it's one of the great cultures is our comedy.
Yeah, I mean, it's so great, isn't it, that we have it sewn into our culture, the ability to laugh at ourselves, to
Exactly.
mock any kind of success, which is great, because that's the thing, you're toughened up by it. If you can't have a laugh at yourself, then you can't cope with the world. So that's test one before you should be released out the front door. And so we're so good at it. Look, there has been a phase where the comedy industry would take against certain people saying certain things, but more so, the tricky thing is the folded arms of an audience that think you can't joke about a topic, which doesn't make any logical sense. There are certain jokes you might offend a room with, and it's the joke that should be judged. But until you've heard the joke, you can't be folding your arms because someone's talking about a topic. That is not a freedom of speech thing, is it? That's immediately shutting down, and it still happens. There are some people who still think you can't joke about that. Think, well, no, if the joke itself should be judged. And if it offended you, then don't be in the room where it happens. That's the other thing that's changed.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was the idea that if you know, I don't like a certain comedian, well, then don't go and see him or her, and that's absolutely fine. But now people want the world to change to fit exactly what they want to receive.
Yeah. So did you feel constrained, or your colleagues feel constrained in the past few years, and now there's a certain freedom again, or what's been your experience?
It's difficult to
cancel
work.
culture.
Yeah, well, there are two sides of it. So the audience side of it, I've got some sympathy. If an audience, I don't like the fact that they are judgier than they used to be, but one of the jobs of comedy is to try and entertain the audience. So there's a bit of a balance there to try and strike. It's all very well thinking what I am going to say is hilarious and these people don't like it, so they're wrong. Well, maybe you should be not ranting. You should be saying that elsewhere rather than on stage. But the idea of I mean, some of the stories you get of venues that have refused to host a show because people who work at the venue don't like that comedy. There's a story recently of Roy Chubby Brown. And look, there are loads of jokes that Roy Chubby Brown does that I would find offensive. But I don't go and see those shows, and also I don't expect him to not say them because I might not like them. Who died and made me king of the world? But some people who worked in the venue didn't want the venue to host it because they didn't feel safe. And that's what winds me up. How are you not safe because a joke was said in a room that you're not in on a different day? Ridiculous.
No, I mean, it's ridiculous. Listen, I'm of Middle Eastern background and I'm Muslim, and there was a time when we were the butt of all the jokes, terrorists and things. I don't take offense. I think one of the best things, as you say, is that we're very self-deprecating as Brits, and we're not easily offended. And I think we've lost that right to offend.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And it's because we've rebranded offence as a thing. We're judging it from the point of view of the person who's received it. And the problem with that is you could find anyone to be offended by something. There are, 8 billion people on the planet. And if all you need to do is find one person who finds that one comment offensive, and then we shut it down. That's how, when they changed the law in Ireland as well, to try and redefine things as being judged by whether offence has been received. That in the modern world, you have to look at whether a reasonable person would find something offensive before you can deem it to be so. Because if you're just going to let the non-reasonable people, the lightest weight people, the most easily offended, be the yardstick that we measure it by, we might as well all just go home and not say anything ever.
Well, exactly. We even have we've criminalized offense, with public order, with hate speech. You're not allowed to offend anymore, and it's an infringement on freedom of speech. So, Steve, we're going to have to wrap it up, Sonny. I could speak to you forever. I love comedians. Where are you next playing so we can come watch?
Do you know what? Tonight, Bethnal Green, Backyard Comedy Club, a venue where you definitely can get away with saying whatever you want.
Backyard Comedy Club, Bethnal Green, in my hometown. Yeah. Love it. I'll try and make it. Bye, Steve. See you later. Nice to have you.
Bye.
And now we have the wonderful Jessalyn Kane, who's a political commentator, writer, Ripley Parish Councillor.
I'm not a parish councillor.
Oh, you're not? Okay.
I just live in Ripley.
Oh, you live in Ripley. Okay. And tell us a bit. So you were an officer in a council, but you can't talk about it.
Yes, I am an officer for my local council. Okay. So I can't talk about anything within Surrey. But from that job I've had for the last 3 years, it's the reason why I'm so interested in local government.
Right.
and I follow local government quite closely. I'm one of those weird nerds that are into it. So yeah, I've been following your campaign, obviously, because it's an interesting form of local government and mayoral election, of course.
When I defected from the Conservatives to Reform in Westminster Council, and just so people don't know, so that every 2 months, local councils have what they call full council, which is kind of, I guess, like our parliament. Not really. It's a bit of a, it's like a debate, and the debate that the Labour Party put forward was how to fight the far rights in Westminster, alluding to me. So I sat there for 2 hours while Labour and Conservatives debated, how reform is far right and how I represent that and how they got to stop it by all means in our beautiful city. It was quite remarkable.
It's outrageous, and a motion or a debate or anything like that should not be allowed purely because of a political party. They're just saying hateful rhetoric for no reason whatsoever. It's a lot like these woke councils up and down the country who are cities of sanctuary.
London's one of them, by the way.
I know, which is a disgrace. We need to stop being a city of sanctuary immediately. And also these councillors who waste officer time, waste officer resources, and all they do is table motions or debates about Gaza and Palestine and Israel. But that's got nothing to do with their civic duty as a local councillor. It's got nothing to do with that.
And it's a waste of public funds.
It is.
When they debate, I want them to debate everything that they can control here. I vote for the council and the councillor so they can help me with what they can help me here, not some faraway land. And so, Jess, you're young, and we found that I find that your generation is on such polar opposites of the conversation.
Definitely.
Right? But I do find that in a way, both whether you support the Greens or whether you support Reform, I do feel though that both sides are fighting against a system that they deem has undersold young people.
I do agree. Look, the Green Party has really risen in popularity with people my age because people my age are sick of Labour, because Labour have said they're going to do X, Y and Z, and well, you've had Sir Keir Starmer, and what's he done? Flip-flopped on everything.
Yeah.
I guess they're now rallying behind Andy Burnham, but I think they will soon see that he is not the Messiah that they want. And then on the right, people have got fed up and frustrated with 14 years of Tory rule and just constant failures from a party that they believed in. I was a member of the Conservative Party for 10 years.
Right.
I joined when I was about 15.
Gosh.
Yeah, and over that time, that was back in 2015, I joined, it just was disappointing to say the least.
Yeah.
From definitely 2022, but
Yeah.
From COVID onwards, you just didn't recognise that once great party that you would have been proud to call yourself a member of.
Okay, and that it's interesting you say that. And so when I'm running for mayor, and I always think I want young people your age. What we've had is wages have been stagnant for a very long time, since almost 2008. And prices haven't matched that. Obviously, prices have gone up. We've had inflation. Taxes haven't matched that. Taxes keep going up, but wages don't really match it. And so people are working so much harder and not getting a reward for it. And I know that, house prices...
They just feel frustrated in the system.
How can we help? I want. So we've got the mayor who likes to brag about how much regulation he's put on home builders, right? Which has actually stopped home building, crippled home building
massively.
I want young people at the end to say to boast about how many young people own a home. What can we do to help young people have hope in our country and to tell them that they are our future?
Well,
yeah.
Look,
sorry about that.
Planning regulations for, as you quite rightly raise, they have totally decimated home building in a way that you're getting these hideous new build homes that are extortionately priced. I live in Ripley, which is in Surrey, in between Woking and Guildford.
Yeah.
And there's a development near me that was supposed to be affordable, priced, whatever. It's a load of nonsense because the average house price in Ripley is £1 million.
Wow.
And affordable housing, it's actually on a tiered scale. So normally affordable housing, that's 80% of market value. Well, 80% of £1 million
still unaffordable.
800,000. No young person
No.
can get on the housing ladder for that. So they're having to move up north, and they're having to, even emigrate from England because they can't afford it. Communities are being broken up. I think what is so apparent in this generation is that so many
communities have been broken up.
Yes.
That's heartbreaking. So you're moved from your family, from everyone who could support you once you want to have a family or raise children. Go on, continue on.
Well, and we did see this happen before in the 50s when London became full. You had these overflow towns. Woking was one of them. There was a sort of village kind of in Woking called Shearwater, which was a council estate for working class people, and then so they all got moved and shipped out there. And because the Conservative administration at the time wanted to build a regeneration project, which didn't go very well, they had to move all these people out. So there were communities that were totally broken up there, which is just so sad. And I think that's what young people don't have. In this today's generation, there is no sort of sense of community. Why would people trust politicians? And if there's no sense of community, no sense of trust.
It's that trust that's broken down because I spoke to a few people who work in London. One person in particular, I think they went to Oxford and they've got a £65,000 job. They live in Zone 2. And that's one of the top 85% earners in the country. And they were telling me they rents are so high, taxes are so high, wages obviously are not catching up. And they were saying, I can't save enough money for a deposit for a home. And I don't, my landlord might raise rents. I may have to move. That person has no...
Why should they
security
be
of home? They have no security of home. And he goes, like you say, he goes, once I do have to have children, number one, he's delaying having children because he can't afford it. And there is a correlation between birth rate and home ownership and home security. 100%. That's why we have a declining birth rate. But he's saying, once I do want to have children, I'm going to have to move out of London. And he was born and raised here.
Which is so sad.
Exactly. So exactly that. So all our London children are moving out of London when they do want to raise a family. I want them here.
Yeah,
exactly. I've got kids of mine. I've got 7 children. I want them all next to me. I want all my grandkids right next to me. Perhaps that's selfish, but then just let me just contrast that with what people don't realise. If someone arrives on our shores illegally, right? Of course, they're not deemed illegal migrants by this government. They're deemed asylum seekers because they say the word asylum. Right, so they apply for asylum, in case people don't know, and up over 90% of those asylums are granted. Once it's granted, they become a refugee, right? And in London, because we've got 15 boroughs that are sanctuary boroughs, including Westminster, they go to the top of the housing list, right? And when they want to increase their family, when they want to bring their dependents over, the government brings them over and finds them another home in London to increase it. They have more security of home than someone who's born and raised here and done everything right.
Which is such a
disgrace. That contract is broken. That promise.
It's so shameful, and it has been happening for so many years now. That's why you've lost like the Cockney accent, and people don't talk like how I talk anymore because that they're all being
demographic change
all over the country, which is just so sad. But what does annoy me is these housing lists because say for example you're a care leaver, you're entitled to social housing as soon as you finish care. So when you leave on your 18th birthday, for example, you should be at the top of that list because you kind of have to leave on your 18th birthday. But why is it that an undocumented asylum seeker can get housing before someone who was born and bred here and was actually under the care of this country? It is a total disgrace.
It's a betrayal. It's a real betrayal of our young people.
And I think this is why young people cannot trust public services anymore.
No.
They can't trust the police, they can't trust local government, and they can't trust the national government because they have been failed time and time again. What's being done for them? It's just a disgrace. And it's quite clear that there is this establishment, of course, that has just formed of people who were, you know, so similarly aligned, so out of touch with normal working people. And
that's what I always talk about, that because they talk about diversity in government, but it's not just diversity of ethnicity or religion, it's diversity of thought. Right? We do not have diversity of thought. You know, both parties, main parties, really think alike. You know, and there's no diversity of thought. And you end up, you know, I speak to so many people in London, and they're like, you know, what's the point of voting? Because I vote Conservative and Labour, same stuff. It's the same failed model. Nothing changes. Do you agree with that? And what do people your age want to see? What
I think people my age want a polarisation of politics.
Right.
You know, that's why they're going so hard left with the Greens.
Right.
Or that's why they're going, you know, further to the right with reform.
Right.
You know, they want radical change because Britain is broken.
Right.
And Britain needs to be fixed.
Right.
And they are thinking the only way to do that is through breaking the wheel and building it back up again. And to be honest, I completely agree. Because what has happened, nothing has been done for us. Nothing has been done for ordinary people. You know, this is people waking up, going to work, working hard, going home, not having a lot of money after tax robs us. But then, oh, hold on a minute, you've got undocumented asylum seekers, free phone, free bills, oh, lovely house, all on nanny state.
Yeah, I know. It's remarkable. And then we keep saying, you know, I think the government looks at us and says, we need to tighten our belt a bit more. You know, you're going to have to pay a bit more. What are you paying for?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, what exactly? So and all, but on a fundamental level, you've got an ever increasing welfare dependency with a decreasing tax base, right? Because I do feel, perhaps, I know you've read this, that young people, more and more young people, are just giving up and claiming benefits and being, you know what?
But then there's no incentive to get to work. And also it is really hard to get work, which is so far, you know, you've got this rise of NEETs and stuff, and it is really hard to get work. You know, the idea, 20 years ago, if you had a degree, if you had a postgraduate degree, oh my, that would get you into a job straight away, no questions asked. Everyone's got a degree now, so no one cares. They're just like, oh, you're like just the rest of them, so no one cares. And then, so there's people who have got degrees, and they're on their benefit scrounging.
Yeah, I know. It's sad. No. I mean, I've met some people who've graduated from you know, Oxford, Cambridge, and they can't get a job. And that's what I mean. That contract's broken. We're going to have to wrap up. So I just want to ask you one question. So, I'm a strong believer in technology and AI. I think, you know, we can't run away from it. And I do believe that AI can be a source of productivity. You know, for instance, it can increase someone's productivity and someone's output as opposed to removing their job.
As long as it's a tool to help them.
Exactly, a tool to help them. And what I find, and I have teenagers who are about to leave school, even some in university, we are not equipping. We're not giving them the tools, the skills of the future, right? So they're not leaving school being AI native. You know, my kids' schools call me and say, you know, Mrs. Cunningham, we have to discuss their handwriting. And I'm like, don't talk to me about their handwriting. I want to know how quickly he touch types. You know, what has he built recently? You know, what has he coded recently? And I think perhaps, would you agree that we need to equip young people more with the skills of the future, and we're not quite doing. We're massively behind on that sense.
Well, there's a reason you've got this company called Girls Code or something like that, which provide free coding courses for girls, because it is such an industry that creates such revenue for people. This is the future. People do need to be learning how to code, because that is where you're going to make money. AI is crazy, and it is going to take away a lot of work.
You actually don't need to code anymore. AI can, you know, you could go on AI and be like, build me an app, build me a website. But I think that's what I mean. We need to equip. And listen, I would like to see even our veterans who are out of a job. We need to equip people, and people who feel that they can no longer partake in
They can-
work.
Yeah, exactly. They can
There are so many data analysts.
Yes, exactly.
You know, and these are lucrative professions. And I think what
we need to
problem is,
encourage it far more. We don't do it at all because there is a negative connotation with AI. And I do understand it because you get these people who are quite clearly reeling off a speech and it's so like written by AI, it's AI slop.
Yeah.
But we need to be teaching that it is a tool. It cannot replace your original thought, but it can help you.
I mean, it can. So I mean, just for instance, you know, technology can really improve your output. Seamless technology that streamlines all the information you have access to. For instance, when I was a charging prosecutor, you know, there were so many different platforms you had to access to get information. If I could streamline all that, and AI could help build the connections between people, it would help massively. But we do have public sectors who are scared to use technology and leverage it. So, my dream is, my vision for London is a London of the future.
It needs to get in the future because it is so behind, especially, look, working for councils and being involved in them, they are so behind. They are living, you know, in paperwork still.
Exactly.
And we need to get in the future.
Planning. Planning is so ripe for AI. It's remarkable. You know, you could have an algorithm that gives developers a pre-decision, tells them what's wrong with the decision. I think planning should be less subjective and more objective. So developers who put so much money into preparing an application can foresee
issues in the local area.
Issues, but also issues that will come up in planning. What I found, and I did a short stint on planning, is that sometimes, you know, 4 objectors to a planning decision can derail the whole thing.
Well, yeah, if you get well, it depends for each council, but if you get over 10, it will go to planning committee.
Yeah.
Although there's changes to planning legislation now, so any minor planning will just go directly straight to officers delegated.
Right.
And they can't go to full council. I think that comes into effect.
Do you think planning decisions are subjective or objective?
I think they are subjective,
right,
personally, because I do think that if you are an elected councillor, and you were elected for a reason, you have a civic duty to provide your thoughts on a application if you choose to. If you're on that planning committee, you should be able to. I don't agree with taking away a councillor's right to comment or object or support a planning application just because it's a small application. Also, I don't agree with if a planning committee says, no, we don't want to build these houses. If it's over 150 houses, it will go to the Secretary of State and they can overturn it. And I understand they need to do that because of housing demand, because we do have a housing crisis in this country, up and down, 100%. But if you're the council and you're the administration, you should be able to decide where your houses are built in your borough or your district. I don't think it's down to officers, and I don't think it's down to the government. You know, the government and officers have far too much powers. If you're an elected councillor, you should be able to say your 2 pence.
Yeah, of course, and they are. But do you find that perhaps the community, the people that live, should have more of a say?
Well, I think they already have a pretty good say. Look, if you read policy and you write an objection and it's a well-written objection and you mention policy, they will take it into consideration. Officers have to take it into consideration.
No, for sure.
100%. So I don't think they need to have more of a say because they already do. It's just that residents don't know that
they don't know what's happening. They don't know what's happening as well.
Exactly. They're sort of switched off and it's confusing. It's so confusing. For sure. So if it was
even the application is confusing. I agree. That's where you could have AI, right? You could just simplify it for developers, for the community, for everyone. Because I do think it is kind of confusing. And how do you lodge an objection? How do you not? How do you lodge support?
It's very, very hard, you know.
And we need to streamline. We need to make it. I think we need to make government decisions, whether at a local or a national level, more accessible to the public so they know what's going on. And sometimes I think perhaps it's by design, right, to cut out the public. But I like to look at it like, for instance, I like to look at London like an Apple product. What is your interaction with your city? You know, how easy is it for you to interact with a government website? How many clicks do you have to click to get there?
Layers
How can
of
we
bureaucracy.
how can we click? How can we reduce the number of clicks? How can we make your interaction with your city, no matter what it is, just easier, just a little bit easier, so there's less obstacles to and make it a bit more seamless?
I agree, because it is just bureaucracy, layers and layers and layers of bureaucracy. And for the average person, you know, average Tom, Dick and Harry, they're going to be sat at their computer and they're like, what is going on here? You know, they don't know how to find this information. And I think that's why you see on like community Facebook pages, oh, what's happening here? They've got no idea.
Exactly. And I think we need a bit more transparency. Thank you so much, Jess. Hopefully we'll have you again.
Thank you.
Super interesting. Thank you. It's good to have young people like you engaged. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Fiona MacLeod with your Friday instalment. Marvellous start to the day, Britain. The heatwave's still roasting us like a dodgy barbecue, but the real sizzle is in Labour HQ. Andy Burnham's victory lap to number 10 is basically a done deal. 322 MPS have crowned him the next PM in the world's fastest, least competitive leadership contest. Keir who? Fresh off the coronation, Burnham's already dodging his first mutiny. Nearly 80 Labour backbenchers are whinging about his Home Secretary's immigration plans and demanding a U-turn. Meanwhile, he's signalling a tougher line on Israel over Gaza because Britain was too slow. Brilliant. New boss, same chaotic energy, just with better regional accents. Past the factor 50 and the popcorn see ya later alligator.
Hello, Jennifer. We have Jennifer Ewing here, who is the American Republican in Britain, spokesperson for Republicans overseas on democracy, the establishment, and Trump's world. I was honoured to be in your country for the 250 celebration, and it was a stark reminder of how much your country values freedom, or should I say the Trump administration values freedom. Could you talk to us about what freedom means to Americans?
Sure. So, and I'm glad you got to see the big birthday, well, big in for our country. Anyway, so I think the first thing to know about Americans is our relationship with the government. You know, our Constitution is there not to tell us what our rights are, but it is to basically protect us from the government, right? So rather than constantly looking for permission, like ideally what's supposed to go on with the, you know, whether it's First Amendment, freedom of speech, Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, is the laws are telling the government you cannot encroach on what we see as our God-given rights.
Right. No, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Is we seem to be, the government seems to think in this country that they have to give us permission, right, to exercise certain rights that we should take for granted.
Yes.
Right. And you guys wouldn't put up with that.
No, and I think we question authority more. I think one great example is, and by the way, I've lived here since 2001. I'm a British citizen, so I love this country very much. But you know, there are some stark differences. Like,
but you can love the country and question the government.
And question the government, of course, you know, and also question the trajectory.
Yes.
I mean, I think probably the biggest difference was during lockdown, when in America, you know, there were states that were more strict. For example, my home state of California had some really strict rules. I mean, we lost tons of restaurants, tons of jobs. Kids couldn't go to schools. However, what people would do, because you may or may not know, I know you have a lot of kids, but in America, a lot of kids get into college, university, because of sports scholarships.
Yes.
And so that all went on hold, say in California or New York, the stricter states. So families would actually say, well, wait a minute, I'm not yanking my kid out of water polo or football because he needs to get into college with this. So they would pack up and move to another state like Texas or Florida or Arizona.
Florida was an outlier. I mean, DeSantis was a legend.
He was a
COVID.
legend.
Legend.
Well,
Yeah.
exactly. And, so was his medical director. And, they were called granny killers and all that sort of thing. But just to get back to the point of freedom, people are like, okay, what's going on in, say, California is not suiting me and my family right now. We're packing up and moving, until things get better. And we didn't have the...
There was Boomtown in Florida, wasn't it?
Yes, Boomtown. I mean, I actually snuck out of the country. In hopefully the statute of limitations is gone on that now. But during lockdown here, flew on an almost empty plane to Texas, which was it was a free state, and it was like night and day. And here people were still, what was open? The grocery stores. So,
and let me ask you a question. We talk about free states, right? There was a clear divide, right? It was the Republican states that were free.
True.
Right. And you do feel, and it is remarkable, you do feel that Republicans and those who are similarly aligned were kind of fighting for freedoms, right? It's freedom of the individual against the tyranny of the state. And I do feel that here we do have a mission creep. It's always under the guise of freedom, of protection, right? So, we wanna protect what you see online. So we're going to be the judge of what you can see online. I'm an adult. I don't need protection.
Exactly.
Protect me on the streets. Protect my borders.
Exactly.
That's your first and foremost. But they won't do that. No, they'll let the borders open. You'll see no police on the streets. But heaven forbid you see something that they don't like on online. They will crack down on it. And I always tell people and my children, be wary of anyone who wants to restrict your freedom or take a right away under the guise of freedom. Under the guise of protection, because you end up losing your freedom and you are not safer.
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. And I think that, whether it's the Online Safety Act, whether it's this new under 16s ban, all of these things, I think what people are missing is the slippery slope.
The mission creep,
The mission creep. This has nothing to do about protecting children. Obviously, what it has to do is it wants people like you and me to have to force to show our ID to just communicate online, and that is scary. And I'll tell you something. After I've lived here, like I said, for over 20 years, and with the exception of maybe a royal story or Wimbledon, the UK, until recently, has not really played out much in the news in the United States, right? That all changed.
Yeah, for sure.
About a year ago. And, I go back to the States 3 or 4 times a year, and where people will say, are you kidding me that people are getting arrested for tweets or saying things online, number one, and then 2, of course, the rape gangs. So, I mean, it's just, it's crazy, but, and those are not, of course, reasons in which you'd want the United Kingdom making news in the United States. But the free speech thing is a really, really big one.
And for instance, so people are getting arrested. I think we had the largest number of people being arrested for social media posts apart from China, or something. But contrast that with the fact that only 6% of rapes end up in a charge. Yeah, right. So 94% of rape victims don't get a look in, but they crack down more on stuff you say online than women getting raped. And if that was proof alone that it is a form of control and it's not about protection, because you're not protecting me on the streets. You're not protecting the borders. You're not even investing in defense. You're not protecting the country. But you're so focused on us discussing your failures. And I don't know if you saw, but someone, I forget her name, one of the MPs who's going to be appointed to the cabinet, was saying that they want to restrict social media during elections.
Oh, right. That's not suspicious. And yet give 16-year-olds to vote.
I'm really sorry, but what are you hiding? Why are you restricting it? If you've got a good argument and you're doing well, you shouldn't have to restrict what I see. And then we had Sadiq Khan, who actually had the audacity to say that anyone who posts about crime in London online is spreading misinformation and disinformation. 2 words, by the way, that should be removed from vocabulary forever. And he said he was lobbying government for a central body to control that.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredibly dystopian.
Well, it's tyrannical.
Yes, it is. And we also know that, the government oftentimes and the media has given us false information. And I don't remember them coming out and apologizing and saying, hey, we got this completely wrong about whatever it is, which is, you know, quite a lot. I mean, we know ever since Elon bought Twitter, you know, sorry to dead name it, you know, now X, we know that what they discovered in the Twitter files are the two biggest, basically censored issues of recent history were COVID-19 and the Hunter Biden laptop story. Those are two pretty big issues. And I think the reason why the UK government is so fearful of decentralized media, especially, you know, shows like you're doing and a lot of the other great shows that are out there, is because people, especially the younger generation, are learning more. And they can watch your show and go, oh, that sounds right, but let me double check that and watch somebody else. Whereas if you just come in and turn on your 6 o'clock news, that's it. You know, it's state propaganda.
I remember growing up, I trusted the news implicitly.
Yeah.
You know, you were probably around the same age. Whatever you saw on TV was, you never questioned it. And that monopoly of information, information flow is scaring the living daylights out of politicians. They can't handle the truth.
No.
And they don't want us to handle the truth.
Well, no.
But the crazy thing is we don't have a means to fight back against it in this country. They're just going to impose law after law after law, and we just have to sit and take it.
Well, I would disagree with you there, and I think that it has to. Well, I think, and again, I did notice this all during lockdown. I think it's the will of the people. Like, there are a lot of people, friends of mine, people I know, who actually do think there should be limits on free speech. They're like, yeah, but maybe you shouldn't be able to say that. I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, like, if you, we don't have hate speech laws in the United States. So, you know, we want that to basically get out there.
So any speech in America, what is there a threshold? So incitement to violence, and what would that entail? And is that subjective, or is that a trial matter?
Great question. And it's actually something called, for hate speech or incitement to violence, is the Brandenburg test. And interestingly, it comes from like a KKK, Ku Klux Klan case years ago. But in order for something to be seen as hate speech, it has to be likely and imminent. Okay,
likely and imminent.
So if you're somebody, that has, you know, 5 followers on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, and you're saying something negative, it's not going to pass that.
Even if it's inciting someone to go commit violence.
Yeah.
Right.
It has to be likely and imminent, which is a very
which is a legal test, I guess.
It's
or
a
trial
threshold.
matter. It's a trial matter, I guess.
It's a threshold in order for it to be considered hate speech. Obviously, there are.
What is imminent? Like,
imminent means, is it going to happen? Now?
Like, but I can imagine people debating in a trial what the meaning, was it imminent and was it likely?
Yeah. Well,
because it's quite a broad.
You're the lawyer, so
but I can imagine trying to argue, you know, in prosecution or defense, whether that person has enough influence for it to make it likely, and the imminence of it.
Well, exactly. And so, you know, that's why when some of these people, even the people in this country who had been arrested for their tweets or their comments online, like, were those imminent and likely? I mean, if you're standing there with a Molotov cocktail and you are in a big crowd and you're like, everybody right now, let's light this place on fire and burn it all down. Yeah, that would pass it.
Right, I see.
Right? Because that's likely and it's imminent.
Is there public outrage at some of them like we have here?
Well, we don't really have people arrested for free speech. I mean, you will see, and this got particularly sinister during the Joe Biden administration. You saw a lot of former liberals, who have become, I mean, I would call them now, they're progressive. They're not liberal because they're actually quite intolerant.
I find the term progressive so annoying because they're not progressive.
Exactly. And liberal is not a bad term, you know.
No.
But what we did see during that administration is a lot of Democrats and a lot of people on the left became very, very comfortable with monitoring speech. I mean, just like I said, with, the Twitter and Facebook and all these people like censored. And then, of course, the danger in that is that people then self-censor.
Well,
because they see it.
That's the cancel culture, right?
Yeah.
So you might not be prosecuted in a court of law, but you're cancelled.
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of cancellation in? Yeah, and I think the tide has definitely turned massively.
Yes, and what the way we feel is let the market decide.
Yeah.
If you say something that's deplorable and disgusting and hateful, let the market decide. You know, you will probably, whether your job is a television presenter or a comedian or an actor or whatever it is, a high-profile figure, a politician, the people will decide, I don't like what that person said, and toss them out, you know.
Yeah, you see, I think we've gone excessive with prosecuting hate speech. I'm like you. I think society will punish racists.
Yes.
You know, they won't have any friends, they won't get a job, they'll be ostracized.
Yeah.
And that's probably a harsher lesson than just being hauled into court. And I think there is I mean, the state has almost overtaken that kind of town hall judgment that I think we need to go back to.
Yes, and also, you know, it's like if everybody's a racist, then
Nobody is.
The actual racists. Of course, they
get away
actual
with it.
racists.
Of course,
they get away with it, just like anything else. When you're just painting everybody with the same brush over some small infringement, then the real danger gets to hide within the.
The problem is in this country is if you believe in sovereignty, you're far right. If you believe in prioritizing British people, you're racist. And divisive. And so I think that the conversation is completely skewed. Let me ask you a question, Jennifer. Do you think we are free here in the United Kingdom?
I mean, relatively speaking, yes.
Compared to America?
No, it's very different. Right. I would, and I know this is a controversial issue, but a lot of Americans will tell you that the reason our Second Amendment, the right to bear arms against enemies, foreign or domestic, is what actually protects our First Amendment. Right. I know that's controversial. I know a lot of people are not comfortable with guns, but Americans will never give up their guns because they genuinely look at other sort of Anglo countries around the world, like Australia and other places that have given up their guns, and they're like, it's a quick road to tyranny.
Yeah, so, it's against the tyranny of the government.
I do believe that that's probably the biggest reason, which might sound silly. It's First and Second Amendment.
Yeah, well, some people do argue that we need to have our own kind of constitutional rights embedded in law that are unencroachable.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, nice to meet a fellow freedom fighter.
Nice to meet you.
Hopefully see you again, Jennifer.
Yeah,
absolutely. Lovely to have you on.
Take care. Thank you.
We're speaking to Mark Littlewood now. Football handover.
Hello, Mark.
Rayla, how are you?
Oh God, I've got to hang on 1 second. These things really annoy me. Let's have a look. Mark,
have you got me loud and clear now?
Loud and clear, Mark. How are you? Ahoy.
I'm very well. Welcome to the UK Live Online team, Layla. I've been told I'm supposed to turn up for a few minutes on your show so you can rant at me. Is that right? Is that how you're rocking on your show?
I think I'm going to change the name from Layla Cunningham Show to Layla's Rant. I think I could go on tour with that. What do you think?
Yeah, that's the way to go.
I'll just go around the country ranting.
Yeah. We'll work a treat, Layla.
What's wrong with a rant here and there? You know what I mean?
Stay tuned for the next hour if you like rants. I'll be ranting about everything to do with the football. So yeah, it's going to be very, very ranty over the next hour on UK Live Online.
Well, I mean, of course, tomorrow's the big game.
Yes, well, we've got one of the quarterfinals out of the way, France versus Morocco. We'll have a look at that, and we're going to have a look at the reaction to that, not just on the streets of Paris, but also on the streets of Edgware Road. Pretty grim. Diversity is our strength, Layla. I think you know that. Diversity is our strength. Please get that tattooed to your forehead.
Of course, with the word rant. But I think on my tombstone, they're gonna write, "May she rest in peace and finally stop ranting." Yeah. But I think so. Every tournament we have, we talk about England winning, right? And it's this prayer, this hope that we'll be able to win. And I think for the first time, I think our team is a lot more combative, and they're less focused on defense. And I'm not a football expert at all. I used to play basketball, so I understand a bit of the mechanics of a game. But I just feel we're always let down by penalty shootouts. Luck is never on our side. Do you feel that as well, Mark?
Well, our manager, a German, of course, the only German left in the tournament, is the England manager. He actually said he thought we would have to win 2 penalty shootouts
Oh
in order to
God,
win the
I don't
World
think my
Cup.
heart can take it.
So brace
Yeah,
yourself, brace yourself.
brace
But
myself.
I'm pretty confident, Layla, because
I mean,
we've
Norway's
got
quite
a
good,
few
aren't they?
exceptional players. We've got a few
For
exceptional
sure.
players, but we also have some great teamwork. It's obvious that the camaraderie in the camp, the solidarity in the camp, the team getting on with each other, the team respecting the manager, all of that looks good. Look, if we made it to the final and we've got to overcome Norway first, then either Argentina or Switzerland.
And they keep talking about Norway, this Viking looking guy who
they're
really
no
does look
mugs.
like a Viking. And
Yeah,
I think he's
they
the
are
best.
no
He's one of the
mugs.
best in the world, right? But
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm
We're
a
up
big
against one of
Jordan
the best
Pickford
centre forwards
fan.
in the world.
Big Jordan Pickford fan, big Harry Kane fan, and you know, what a remarkable presentation for our country. And let me ask you one question. That game against Mexico, I've never seen a game quite like it.
Yeah, it's pretty extraordinary. And, you know, there's so many games that we keep moving on to the next ones, but it's well worth reflecting on that Mexico game. And we will be, Layla, for years to come.
I need to watch it again just to kind of like etch it in my memory.
I've watched it. I watched it on repeat in full. It's probably England's greatest performance on foreign soil in any football match. So if we can show the guts that we showed there, especially when we had the problem of going down to 10 men, England could go all the way. Look, we're not the favourites, but I think we've got the best chance of winning the World Cup in my lifetime. 3 more hurdles to go.
I have heard that before.
3 more hurdles
Mark.
to go.
I'll ask you one question before I think they want me to hang up now. What happened to Brazil? They used to be the best in the world. What makes a team dominate and then suddenly Italy used to win stuff?
Don't talk to me about
Italy can't even qualify anymore.
I know. It's so weird. I remember, was it Toto Schillaci, Pucci?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, Toto Schillaci was a legend. I mean, that shows my age. But
way back in the day. Way back in the day, ebbs and flows.
Was it Roger Miller who danced for Cameroon?
Yeah,
and then Italy used to win. Even I think Holland used to win. Like, what happened to the European teams? I mean, France obviously is killing it. I feel they're the favourites
hang
for
on
every
a second.
tournament.
I mean, now Morocco are out. There's only one non-European team left in the tournament. That's Argentina. All of the other teams are European teams.
Oh, are they? Okay, fine.
But here's a good
But
bit
they're
of
not the
news for you.
favourites.
Yeah, France are the favourites. But of the European teams left, 3 of them aren't in the EU. So this proves my theory that if you want to be good at football, you need to be a European nation who is not in the EU. We're already experiencing a Brexit benefit, Layla, on the football pitches of America, Mexico and Canada. How about that for a scientific
Well, we'll
theory?
end it on that. Who knew that Brexit brought so many benefits and potentially an England World Cup win? Thank you very much, Mark.
So here we are. Look, I'm going to have to take you into my confidence common sensors, as you can probably gather from my background. I'm not in southwest London. I'm not back in the beautiful town of Calidore. Guys, I am on the run from the authorities. I'm on the run from the filth. The authorities, the stormtroopers, are trying to track me down. I thought long and hard about whether to stand up and face them, but I've decided to flee London. It was late last night when I started to see these posters going up all around where I live. If you live in the Battersea and Wandsworth area, I'm sure you would have seen them. We can pull up image 2. You can put image 2 on the screen. These things are popping up all over southwest London, and I have had to leg it. I've had to go. There you go, a reward. Most wanted. That's me. 50-something age, 6'2" in heels, nationality English. Well, they got that bit right. Occupation bullshitter, it says. That's a bit harsh. And known associates, Foxy Cox and the Glindex. I'm wanted for the trafficking of panini stickers. Look, I confessed to it, didn't I? I brought in way too many on my flight back from Spain. Irresponsible encouragement of optimism amongst England fans and overt criticism of President Trump and Gianni Infantino. That's probably a capital offence. So I have decided to flee. As you can see, I've made it to my bolt hole here. I can't tell you exactly where I'm broadcasting from because the authorities will get to me pretty goddamn quick, but I'm going to do my best to stay on air and to bring you all of the World Cup of footage, and helping me in that endeavour will be my wingmen who've not yet had to flee. I think they're still in the sunny south. I'm desperately trying to get out of the country. Let's bring in the Cox in the box, Paul Cox, and the Glindex, Glyn Brailsford. Thanks for joining me while I'm on the run, guys. You may have to leap in at any point to try and help. Look, we've got to get into the football in a minute, but first, I want to start with the aftermath. Everybody thought it would kick off after the France-Morocco game, whatever was to happen, and indeed it did. Let's have a look at the Eiffel Tower last night after the full-time whistle. That's clip number 1. Then I'll ask Cox and Brailsford what they make of this. Clip number 1. Smoke around the Eiffel Tower. Clip number 2, clashes on the streets of Paris. That's clip number 2. The Morocco fans in Paris, they're looking a lot more up for it than the Moroccan team did on the actual field of play. But it's even spilled over into London. Here's some clips from Edgware Road, which had some trouble with Moroccan fans last night. That is clip number 3.
Police are going in. Man down well. Jesus.
Grim scenes, gents. And look, I don't want to make light of it, but I mean, you know, violent scenes after what was a pretty poor and pedestrian game. If you were with us yesterday, you would have heard from the Cox in the box that weirdly in Morocco, the organ of love and affection is not the heart, it's the liver. You love someone with all your liver, apparently, Paul told us. I checked it out. It's true. He's not just another lying Pompey fan. This was actually true and accurate. And Paul, yesterday, Morocco, who I've loved watching throughout the tournament, they broke my liver. What a limp, pathetic display. I even tipped them to win, and they went out deservedly so. What did you make of it, Coxie?
Yeah, I think they gave us all jaundice. Look, that was a real wet flannel of a performance. I've not quite seen anything like it. Still don't know what their game plan was. You and I were talking about it, and I was saying that they never attacked at any point, which you can understand up until the point they conceded. But after that, they decided, you know what we're going to do? We're going to hold on to this 1-0 defeat. And then subsequently, of course, held on to a 2-0 defeat. Made no sense whatsoever. You're in the quarterfinals of the World Cup, boys. I guess Morocco and France are one and the same, the uni team, but still, at least show us that you care. They didn't show any passion. They didn't do anything. Maybe some shenanigans, some housery off the ball. Anything would have done, but not that.
Yeah, and not much sign on the streets, as Lysak says, you know, diversity is our strength, clearly. That's not obviously what those clips show. I'm so disappointed in Paul. I mean, look, I hope England make it all the way, but if we do go out, I want to go out with a bang, not a whimper. Glyn, what you got in the Glindex about this? I was watching the game, and at one point it came up that I think the XG, this is this complex algorithm that works out how many goals you would have expected to score up until this point, given how many chances you've created and all of the rest of it, had France on about 2 or something. And I think Morocco were on 0.03. And this was like halfway through the second half. I mean, as Coxie said, I get that at 0-0. You know, you hope for one lucky chance and take it to penalties. But I'm afraid it just didn't go that way for them. What a sad way for the African champions to go out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Check out the shirt, Mark. You see it?
The Glindex, fully
It's
branded.
arrived today.
You can buy one of those in the merch shop, in the UK Live online merch shop. Obviously, twice the price if you want the Glindex to sign it.
A snip at 99.99. Yeah, you're right, Mark. That XG figure, it was actually on the 60th minute. They improved. They stepped it up to 0.06. So it was really a display totally lacking liver, as Coxie said. They normally play with such exuberance. I just don't know what happened. It's like they had lead in their bloody boots. So horrible ending for them to the tournament, and really disappointing because we'd all seen them as dark horses, haven't we?
Yeah, we had. And, I suppose getting to the quarterfinals isn't all bad. But look, let's get into another part of the controversy of it. On yesterday's show, there were a lot of folk, including Chris Snowden, who's usually a skeptic, doesn't believe in any conspiracy theory, who seems to buy into the conspiracy theory that the competition is somehow being rigged for Argentina. Right now, the Americans are out, at least. And therefore, we were all worried, or if your liver beats for Morocco, heartened to know that things might conspire against France yesterday. Well, they didn't. Dembele and Mbappe have put them through. But although it will now be lost to the mists of time, Cox, there was an Mbappe penalty that took 3 minutes to take. And it was an open and shut penalty. And I've been saying one of the great things about the tech in this World Cup has been it's been pretty much lightning fast, certainly for open and shut cases like that. 3 minute delay for no obvious reasons. And the great Kylian Mbappe misses it. So is it's being stitched up for the RGs by FIFA and the officials conspiracy still alive and well, even if they didn't quite conspire to knock the best team out of the tournament yesterday? What's in Cox's box on that one?
Well, I don't think so, because I think a lot of it was to do with the protection of the penalty spot in the first instance, where France seemed to have nominated a player who stands over the penalty spot and protects it with their life to prevent any of the opposition scuffing the penalty spot, which seems to be something that has re-emerged over the last couple of world or European competitions. So that took up a minute or two. Then Mbappe had misplaced the ball, according to the referee, on said penalty spot on no more than 2 occasions. That seemed to take up another minute or so. And then the referee was just checking when on his betting sheet he had France to score, and he was just waiting for that. So perhaps the scandal is that the referee had France to score at that moment, but then Mbappe turned up and placed the most wet Weetabix of a penalty into the hands of the Moroccan goalkeeper's gloves. It was quite incredibly poor for possibly the greatest or youngest of the greatest players still playing. But 3 minutes or 3.5 minutes, as I calculated it, from the blowing of the whistle, blatant penalty, to the taking of the kick, is a ridiculous time. I believe the hydration break was shorter.
Jeez, blimey, there you go. So maybe it wasn't to fix the game. Did they squeeze in another commercial break? FIFA corruption, says Joe Beer. Well, on the FIFA corruption thing, Glenn, just your thoughts before we go to our first guest. I know later in the show, Glenn, you're going to be telling us how the team that wins this tournament is going to be the one that exploits cross-lateralism, whatever the hell that is. That's going to be coming out of the Glindex later. But on FIFA corruption, on the thing being rigged, we can't not touch on the Kwanzaa issue, who is now being banned from the semi-final if we were to get through. So the American player for exactly the same offence, Balogun, he gets to play the next game. Kwanzaa, not just banned against Norway. Were we to get through, he'll be banned from the semi-final as well. It's all over the shop. There is no justice in this world, right, Glenn?
Absolutely. I mean, it completely smells of Sycophantino again. I mean, why on earth, if they wanted to upgrade the sending off in the first place, why did it take 5 days? How? You're just watching video. How could it possibly take 5 days? And then if you wanted to be consistent at all with Balogun, why isn't at least one of those 2 games suspended? So it's outrageous. And is it just a coincidence that they know that England are weak in the right back department at the moment through injury and before the suspension? So it reeks to me, Mark. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's pretty grim. And I think it's also because he's a right back, okay? So this is the position we've got a real problem in now. There's now, we don't know whether Reece James might just make it. He's our first choice, but that would be a risk. And Declan Rice, we know, is struggling. Mark Gahey as well, we know, struggling. But that right back position, I mean, a real problem for England. And all right, Kwanzaa probably not our first choice there, but yet another one down. This time, not through unlucky injury, but through FIFA regulations. Paul, Glenn, I'm going to be back with you very shortly. But first, I want to bring in a return to the show, Matthew Bowles from the Prosperity Institute, because the NHS came up with quite a plan to make sure that even if we don't win the World Cup this time, although I'm sure we're going to, but even if we don't, we will have a fit and healthy population in decades to come. And a fit and healthy population is surely one that will win the World Cup in years to come. We've got to get off our couch, off our sofa, out of the sort of cramped bolt holes that I'm stuck into at the moment, and get walking, they've said. And they're going to reward you if you walk enough. This sounds absolutely brilliant. Building a team of winners. But my guest here, Matt Bowles, welcome back to the show, Matt. You're a little bit sceptical about this. What is this NHS plan, and why don't you like the smell of it?
Yeah, so the NHS have come out with a scheme, I think it was last week, called Movement 26.2, which is the distance of a marathon. Now, the concept is over the course of a month, an individual might walk every day for 20 minutes or so, and then over the course of the month complete a marathon, walking it. Now, there's nothing wrong with trying to promote a healthy lifestyle, but the reward of walking 20 minutes a day are vouchers for supermarkets and coffee shops. To me, that seems way past the reach of government organising procurement with supermarkets and coffee chains, especially when it's quite obvious who will benefit from the system. Those that walk their dogs are able to do 10,000 steps on a daily commute by 10 o'clock in the morning. And those who are actually at risk of being classed as inactive, they're hardly going to get up off the sofa for a coffee.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But aren't the real winners these guys? It's a stitch up by Starbucks, isn't it? I mean, they're going to be the real winners. Anybody who walks, you get government subsidised Starbucks. Is that right? Is that the plan?
Pretty much. The public are very quick to castigate supermarkets and coffee chains such as Starbucks for supposed profiteering, but I'm unsure how you can really criticise them for basically being offered free business from government.
Yeah, I agree with that. Look, you've got to read Mac's article. It's a great smackdown of it. I think I've given the link to the Spectator piece. There's a screen grab. The NHS should not be rewarding people to walk. I mean, you would have thought that is a pretty straightforward thing, and I see we've just put it in the chat as well. So make sure you have a read of that. Yeah, what next? Do you think the NHS should train people, Matt, and give them free coffees if they are able to leap over an advertising hoarding without breaking their wrist? That might be a pretty useful thing to spend taxpayers' money on, don't you think? You know, sort of live and learn type exercises. But look, let's get on to the football. We've got obviously a weekend to finish off all of the quarterfinals. Only 7 teams left in it now. Only one non-European team now that Morocco are out. England face the mighty Norway. What do you think of it? Can you see beyond the French, Matt? I mean, they've scored some good goals, but they haven't exactly been blindingly brilliant, right? They managed to just get past Paraguay on a penalty kick. They beat a very disappointing Morocco team yesterday. Doesn't look, they haven't yet hit fire. And if they haven't caught fire yet, my God, what are they going to look like when they do?
Yeah, I mean, for me, watching the French over the course of the few games that I've seen, they seem to be able to go on and off fairly quickly. They can have stints of the game where nothing's really happening for them, nothing's clicking, crosses overhit. But then all of a sudden, within the space of 10 minutes, they've scored a couple of goals, such as last night, and the game's basically over. Now, we're the first ones, and especially football commentators, when teams in a title chase in the Premier League who are just getting over the line of games, grinding out 1-0 wins, and saying that this is the mark of true champions. So perhaps if you're looking kindly on the French, you could say that maybe they've just got the winning qualities.
Yeah. And where are you on is it rigged, Matt? Is everything being pulled to help Argentina? They tried to help America. Look, I'm not saying they're literally deciding the entire script in advance, but are they tilting the balance of play? Simon Kilford's back with his theory, and I've got to say I'm warming to this. He says, I still think it's going to be between England and Argentina in the World Cup final. And I laughed that out of court because obviously it would mean they'd have to totally change the bracket. But I'm thinking I might have a fiver on that. I think Simon might have a point. They might find some reason to change the bracket. I'm also looking for any bookmaker who will allow me to place a bet that the final is Argentina versus USA when the Americans are miraculously reinstated. Can't find a bookmaker who will quote on that yet. But Simon, I think it could be Argentina against America, not Argentina against England. Anything could happen, right? Do you think they're tilting the odds just a little bit then, Matt, especially with this Kwanzaa issue? I mean, how on earth is he being banned for another game?
Well, yeah, for me, I think there's three cases that need the questions need to be answered for. The first is the Trump intervention with the US players' red card. The second was I mean, I watched the Argentina-Egypt game, and to me, it did seem a complete farce. Constant fouling by the Argentines, and there was seemingly no repercussions. And then third, of course, the Kwanzaa two-match ban. I think at some point, Infantino's got to come out and discuss these issues, not simply like sweep them under the carpet. I guess that the Kwanzaa decision and the Argentina-Egypt game are a little different because it's subjective somewhat, but I don't know how you can not address the Donald Trump phone call, then all of a sudden an unprecedented bylaw is used to essentially allow the host nation's star player to play a game.
Yeah, it all stinks. So I've been having just another thought while we've been on air, Matt, and perhaps we can pull up image number one. I don't like this NHS rewarding you for walking stuff, but I've decided I do like the idea of them rewarding you if you're on the run, right? Because look, walking doesn't really improve your fitness or your ability to play football. But supposing you are literally on the run, would that change your mind, Matt? I mean, you burn off many, many more calories if you're running a marathon rather than walking it in, what did you say, sort of 20-minute sections? I mean, that's feeble. We're not going to make a nation full of world-class athletes like that. But look, you know, I'm still just about in my early 50s. If I'm actually on the run, I reckon I could still get myself shipshape. What if the NHS said, tell you what, not for walking, but running, and especially if you're on the run from the filth, now we'll consider giving you a bounty. I'd be up for that. I'd make a fortune this weekend as I try and escape the country. Would that make more sense to you, Matt?
Well, it sounds remarkably similar to a policy that was mooted. I don't think it was ever implemented, or a scheme, so to speak. That was announced or had a few bylines in various outlets when we worked together a few years back. The NHS offering to give subsidised gym memberships. So, yeah, if walking's too easy, running, going to the gym, maybe that's slightly better. But why on earth that's the state's prerogative to intervene for that? It's beyond me.
Matt, I'm with you. The government should stick to what it's best at. It should have a very narrow remit, and its remit should be trying to get red cards overturned in the event that one of your best players has been eliminated from a tournament. The Americans have nailed it with their constitution. Our government bloody hopeless. Get the punishment doubled. Look, Matt, just before I let you go, as you know, although I'm on the run, I'm also running away from my gambling losses, as well as for the customs and the police trying to catch up with me for my contraband Panini sticker collection. But I'm doing quite well in the guest prediction competition, but I need a prediction from you. The first game up this weekend is Spain versus Belgium, the mighty Belgium, who saved the integrity of the game by beating the Americans 4-1. But they'll be the underdogs going in against the Spanish. I need your prediction, Matt, for what the result will be after 90 minutes. Because I'm against the rest of the world, I go first. And I'm saying Spain 2, the mighty Belgiums 0. What's your prediction after 90 minutes? Any score but that one?
So I'm going to go the opposite way. I think the Belgians might be fired up still from their injustice against the US. I think that spurred them on. What would you would have assumed Belgium would have snuck through against the host nations, but not quite by the margin they did do so by. So yeah, I'm going to go left field and go 2-1 Belgium.
2-1 Belgium. And Cheesecake in the chat agrees with you. Cheesecake says Belgium 2-1. That would be an upset, and it's hard not to like Belgium at the moment, even though it is the country that hosts the headquarters of the European Union. But on the football field, I like the look of them. Matt, good to hear from you. Good luck stopping this subsidised walking nonsense, which is just a kickback to Starbucks and other coffee companies by the look of it. Enjoy the weekend. Come on, England. Enjoy the game. Speak to you soon, my friend. Let's bring in back my wingmen, Glyn Brailsford, the Glindex, and Paul Cox, the Foxy Cox, in the box. What a load of bloody nonsense, eh? The NHS subsidising walking, complete crap. But Glyn, I want to start with you because I think Cox and I are going to be a bit sceptical about this, right? We put forward yesterday a peer-reviewed scientific study that had worked out who was going to win. And it was basically, you look at each country in the tournament, you calculate the number of sheep there are per square kilometre, and the more sheep you've got, the more likely you are to win. I confess it didn't quite explain why New Zealand fell at the first hurdle, but let's just leave that to one side. But now this theory, sadly, is in tatters because the rather sheepy Moroccans were destroyed last night by the non-sheepy French. But Glyn, you've got an idea that it all comes down to something completely different about the human form, something called cross-lateralism. Sounds like a whole bunch of hooey to me. What the hell is it, and why should we pay any attention to it?
Don't pay any attention. I'm just going to ask you a question first, Mark. What do Messi, Maradona, and Michael Elise have in common?
Got no idea. I hope you were going to tell me.
If it helps, these players have the same thing in common with them. Lamine Yamal, Saka, Riyad Mahrez, Martin Odegaard, Mo Salah, David Silva.
I've got it. Then they're all nearly as good as Matt Letizia at football. Is that the common link?
Two more, Gareth Bale and Ryan Giggs. No, Coxey, it's not that they slept with their sisters-in-law. It's you'll already have spotted.
I don't know. Some left-footed a lot of left-footed players in there.
They're all left-footed.
Okay.
But that's not it. The more unique thing about them is they're left-footed, but right-handed, right? Okay. And that particular combination is a killer combination. In fact, only about 3% of the global population are right-handed and left-footed. So these guys are anomalies both on and off the pitch. So as you said earlier, the experts call it cross-laterality, or a bit easier, cross-dominance, if you want to identify as cross-dominant. And that term applies whether you're right-handed and left-footed or left-footed and right-handed. Some other great players, Mbappe, De Bruyne, they're left-handed and right-footed, but that combination is much less rare than the 3%. So it's that left foot right-handed brigade who are really special. It gives them some distinct advantages. So I'm going to get a bit sciencey now. And I'm not a
but hang on.
scientist.
This is what I'm just saying. Is this just a coincidence? Is this just like saying they're all born under the star sign of Sagittarius? What's the advantage? Why does it matter whether you're left-handed or right-handed? You can't use your hands.
Yeah, but it gives you special advantages, such as sports science and neurological research show that they've got better spatial awareness, faster processing speed, because when a player's dominant hand and dominant foot are on the opposite side, it forces the two sides of the brain to communicate much more rapidly with each other. That leads to faster reaction when it comes to making decisions or changing direction. And neuroplasticity research that suggests that those cross-dominant individuals are also more fluent in their movement and in the originality of the movement as well. Because the neural pathways aren't locked in like us righties, they're more versatile, more unpredictable, and they can drift into tight spaces that we can't see because we're just looking at it from a right-sided, right-handed perspective. So these guys are just very unusual, and it gives them that advantage. Of course, it doesn't mean they're going to be brilliant athletes because, you've got to have strength, you've got to have speed, you've got to have pace, all those kind of things. But they are the special sauce, if you like, that make fantastic players. And if you watched ITV last night for the game, Ali McCoist at one point described Elise as different class, which is absolutely true. But it would be just as pertinent if you said different, because it is that combination that makes the difference, Mark.
That is fascinating. A coach is starting to look for this now, because the oddity I can remember, going back, a good couple of decades now, was Wayne Bridge, who was a really good left back who played for Southampton, went on to Chelsea, and then lost his girlfriend to John Terry. But Wayne Bridge had it trained into him. He was right-handed, right-footed, but his father thought that because there were fewer left-footed players, if he just taught his kid to be left-footed, drilled it into him in the same way we used to drill left-handedness out of people in the Victorian times at school, then he would have a better chance. So that was trained into him rather than natural. But you're saying the players you've picked out here, it's natural. It wasn't that they just developed their left foot through training. It's a natural genetic disposition. Right.
Yeah.
Cox, what's your take on this? Sounds like an absolute load of bollocks to me. Ben Hall says in the chat that he was left-handed and right-footed, but still shite at football. That's Ben Hall. I think he plays centre back for Portsmouth, doesn't he? Ben Hall. What do you make of this proposition? It's all to do with your brains wired together. I prefer my sheep theory to this one. What do you reckon, Cox?
This is the truth, Mark.
You prefer your sheep, Mark. We know that. Look, I've spent 3 weeks trying not to say bollocks and shite. You got them out in 2 sentences. It just doesn't seem fair. Some sort of presenter's prerogative. Yeah, I'm not too sure about it, actually. Obviously, I'm still of the thinking that anyone who's left-handed or even left-footed should probably be burned at the stake. It's very unnatural. Begone, evil one, is what I would normally shout at those people. I'd like to bring Glyn up on something. He said it's not... He talked about sleeping with the sister-in-law. Now, it doesn't matter where you are in Hampshire. That's totally normal. You can sleep with sister-in-law. It's the more delicious sleeping with your sister they frown upon. But both, as Mark and I know, that's something that's taught how to hide and indulge in Hampshire schools. So I don't see any issue with anything you're talking about there. But, I mean, we're grasping at straws here. It's not peer-reviewed. The sheep stuff was peer-reviewed. I saw it in the National Geographic.
This is scientific fact, mate. Scientific fact.
Yeah.
And if you pick the top 5 players in the world, 3 of them, Yamal, Messi, Elise, right?
Yeah, but that could be coincidence, right?
Yeah, and I've also spoken to people
possibly be.
I've spoken to people who think that men can be women. Adamantly, they fear something. These are theories held by some people that tell me they're actually intelligent, and they're paid handsomely well to say it as well. As you are to do this show, Glyn, I've still got a problem with that. There's a massive delta between what Glyn gets and what I get. He gets more because he comes up with this nonsense, and it's nonsense, Mark.
Well, let's see what the chat think. Are you in the chat? Are you sticking with our sheep theory, which I accept does not predict 100% of games, but still
look at what Wadder's saying?
Or are you going to stick with Glyn Brailsford's cross-lateral theory? Glyn, right, as I was saying, it might not be coincidence. Have coaches and managers now latched onto this, though, or recruitment teams? Are you starting to look for kids aged 8 or 9 for, asking them measuring whether they're cross-lateral before you put them into the kids' team?
Well, I don't know the answer to that, Mark, but it's a natural consequence, you would think, of the sophistication of coaching as scouting methods these days. So if you do see a kid running around at, I think it's 5 or 6 when this cross-dominance kind of finally emerges. If you see one and they're a bit handy, you're going to snap them up because you think, I'm onto a gem here. So I had a particular combination as well. I was a right winger with 2 left feet, but that's another
kind of thing the recruitment teams are looking for, right? So there you go. If the Glindex is right, although both sides of Hampshire, I have to say, are a little sceptical on this one, but if the Glindex is right and you don't like the Hampshire sheep theory, perhaps it's all about cross-lateralism. After the news, we're going to be looking into our opponents on Saturday night, the mighty Norwegians. And as you know, I've been looking for a nickname to call them. I finally come across one. But first, the lovely Fiona with the news.
Hello, I'm Fiona MacLeod with your Friday instalment. Marvellous start to the day, Britain. The heatwave's still roasting us like a dodgy barbecue, but the real sizzle is in Labour HQ. Andy Burnham's victory lap to number 10 is basically a done deal. 322 MPS have crowned him the next PM in the world's fastest, least competitive leadership contest. Keir who? Fresh off the coronation, Burnham's already dodging his first mutiny. Nearly 80 Labour backbenchers are whinging about his Home Secretary's immigration plans and demanding a U-turn. Meanwhile, he's signalling a tougher line on Israel over Gaza because Britain was too slow. Brilliant. New boss, same chaotic energy, just with better regional accents. Past the factor 50 and the popcorn see ya later alligator.
There you go. There's the wonderful Fiona. Look, as I say, I can't tell you exactly where I'm at in this bolt hole provided by a very brave member of the Common Sense Revolution who's been able to put me up overnight as I flee London and try and get to a fair land in which I might seek political asylum. I've been told to head somewhere, I don't know where this is, somewhere beginning with the letter S that is kind of neutral. And it doesn't matter what your political views are, somewhere in Europe. And but having seen Fiona, I'm guessing that might be Scotland, right? So maybe I should head there. But I can't think of another country with the letter S that is neutral in Europe that I should be fleeing to. If anybody knows it, let me know in the chat. Let me bring my wingmen back in because our country focus today, unsurprisingly, folks, is all about Norway, the mighty Vikings, who we face at 10 o'clock on Saturday night in a do-or-die battle to make it into the semi-finals, or according to Simon Kilford, potentially straight into the final to play Argentina. Paul, what have we got in Cox's box about Norway?
Norway, or as they say in Norway, have many interesting facts about them, actually. They have a vault full of seed, not human seed, Glyn, but actual agricultural seed. And I'll tell you why in a minute. It's called the Keeper of the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, which is their doomsday insurance policy to allow life to repopulate the world. It's designed to withstand nuclear war, asteroid impact, the climate disaster, a Labour government, and stores over 1 million backed up seed samples from around the world to safeguard global food security after any one of those catastrophes. Very interesting, as long as you can get to Norway after a nuclear bomb is hit, which I'm going to hazard a guess is going to be quite tricky. Norwegians love brown cheese. That's not a euphemism. That's a fact. The brunost isn't technically a cheese. It looks like a cheese, and it in the usual sense, it's made from caramelized whey and has a sweet fudge-like flavour, which isn't helping the brown cheese analogy. Visitors either love it or hate it. I'm going to hazard a guess and say I absolutely hate it. If someone walks up to you in the street and says, "Would you like to sample my brown cheese?" my advice is say no and run. You can also be fined for dying in Norway. Dying. I mean, I'm surprised they haven't introduced that here yet, but let's not give them any ideas. In the town of Longyearbyen, people are effectively not buried because the permanently frozen ground preserves bodies. Those nearing the end of their life are usually moved into mainland Norway, and if they were to be buried or try to be buried in the frozen homelands, they would be fined after their death, Mark.
That is some pretty shocking stuff about Norway. I now am even more determined to beat them. They have an even less fair inheritance tax regime than we've got under our Labour government. I mean, crikey, O'Reilly, I didn't think that was possible. What have we got in the Glindex for football facts about Norway, Glyn?
Yeah, I'm going to focus on the biggest local derby in Norway, Mark, Tromsø against Bodo Glimt. It's known as the Slaget on Nord-Norge, or the Battle of North Norway. Because they're in the Arctic, they're actually 370 miles apart, divided by fjords and mountains. But to them, it's a local derby. So to get between the two stadiums, it takes like 9 hours each way. So knocks Pompey Saints into a cocked hat, that one, I think. Bodo Glimt, by the way, their fans are famous for bringing oversized yellow toothbrushes, giant toothbrushes, to the game. It's a custom that dates back to the 70s. It's way too complicated to explain. But now at every home game, the Bodo captain hands a standard yellow toothbrush to the opposing captain. And one more, possibly playing tomorrow night, is Thilo Asgard. For the Norway team.
It's from the Marvel universe.
Yeah, well, nearly. His full name is Thelonious, and his dad's a famous cellist. So I assume the name comes from Thelonious Monk, the famous jazz pianist. And this guy, Asgard, also produces hip hop himself. More interestingly, he was born in Liverpool, plays in Glasgow, and represents Norway. So he truly straddles the the North-Scouse divide, Mark.
Oh,
First one today.
Yellow card is out. The first yellow card is out. I think we've got to appeal to FIFA. I mean, I don't think our opponents should be able to field players from the bloody Marvel Cinematic Universe. Sounds absolutely outrageous. Look, we've been searching around for a story about Norway in order to try and anthropomorphisize, that's what it's called, get a caricature of England's enemies. We have slain Dr. Congo. We kicked Mr. Moonbelly into space. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, it's pretty obvious why DR Congo are called Dr. Congo. Moonbelly is the literal translation into English of Mexico. It means moon and navel. But we've been looking around for what to call the Norwegians. Thanks to my Danish friends, we have found a way of characterizing our Norwegians, friends. I wonder if we can bring up image number 4. And I hope you're all fond of Denmark. I'm all very fond of Denmark. So we've come across this famous painting from Denmark. And this tells the story of Olaf II of Denmark, who inherited the Norwegian throne in 1380. And the Kingdom of Denmark was united with that of Norway until 1814. And when they saw the Norwegians, the Danes, who famously live on flattish land in Scandinavia, came up with a name for them. Now, I know this is supposed to be an English language only channel, but the name they came up for the Norwegians was Fjellabø in Danish, which translated into English means mountain monkeys. The Danes called the Norwegians the mountain monkeys. So it is England versus the mountain monkeys. Let's pull up the image of the mountain monkeys. That is image number 5. That's the team England will be facing on Saturday night. As you can see, they've got a pretty tall and mean centre forward, but the rest of those mountain monkeys don't look like they would want to face England. They look like they would, I don't know, rather have a bowl of Cocoa Pops, I guess. Cox in the box. What do you make of England versus the mountain monkeys? Surely we're the odds-on favourites.
We probably are the odds-on favourites, and it's not a position I like to hold too often because we're so used to coming from behind. However, look, we've got a very strong team. Kane, Bellingham, but not just Kane and Bellingham. What Tuchel's done is he's created a team that can play the way he wants them to play. It's why Foden's not there. It's why all the other players you can wish to name are not there. It's not about the England of the 2010s. It's not about putting 11 of your best players out there. It's about putting together a team spirited in the vision of Thomas Tuchel. I still fancy we're going to win as a result of all of that stuff. 2-0, England.
There we go. Also, I can see the chat worried that I'm already on the run for smuggling in contraband panini, being too optimistic about England and criticising Sycofantino and Donald Trump. I now might even be on the run in order, because of this slightly anti-woke caricature of the Norwegians, mountain monkeys. Are you allowed to say that these days? I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's racist because the Norwegians are white, basically, aren't they, Glyn? So do you think we can get away with this one, England versus the mountain monkeys?
I get more worried about it with each passing moment, Mark. It's the injuries and suspensions that worry me. Gay's being tested today. We know Quansah's not there, but Quansah could have gone to right back and that would be okay. But now, if Gay's not there, he's got to stay in the centre. So who plays right back? All a bit complicated. Declan Rice, he missed a second successive day of training. He's got a sickness bug, and that's in addition to the neural issues, whatever they are, that he's already got. I think he's a fantastic player, but I think he's running on fumes, so I'm worried about that. And then there's the suspensions we worried about yesterday. 4 of our best players on suspensions, on yellow cards, I'm sorry. Norway have only got 1. And I'm just getting, I think England will win, but I'm getting Iceland vibes. That's all that worries me.
We don't want any Iceland vibes. We've got to put these monkeys back in their box. Look, I'll be joined for the wrap-up section of the show by the Glindex and Cox in the box again. But now let me bring in a very special guest. Gary Trainer, I hope, is with us now. A Kiwi who has lived in the UK for many, many decades. Gary is an osteopath to the stars, including West Ham United, including the All Blacks, including Hollywood legends like Johnny Depp and Robert Downey Jr. And you know, I think, Gary, that we are a very science-based channel here. So I've got to start by asking you, what the hell is an osteopath? Have we got Gary?
An osteopath looks at the spine. You going all right there, Mark?
Yep. Keep going. We lost him. Okay.
Osteopathy looks at the nerve supply of the body. You still there?
Yeah, I think we're going to have... Can we get Gary to log out and log back in again? Obviously, a problem with his Wi-Fi. So anyway, an osteopath looks at the spine and the body, I gather. But if we can rush to get Gary to try and sort out his Wi-Fi, that would be great. Let's bring back in my wingmen, Cox in the box and Brailsford. Look, hopefully we get some insight about from Gary about how we, what we need to do to train the team. Glyn has already pointed out a range of the injuries, but let's have a quick look forward. And I'm getting a bit worried because the people who are holding me up here have said that there's reports that the stormtroopers are arriving on the scene. So I might have to make a very quick dash for it before too long. But let's hope we can squeeze in a preview of the matches this weekend. Spain, Belgium, Cox in the box. What's your take on that one? I've gone for 2-0 to the Spanish.
Yeah, it's not going to be as straightforward as that, I don't believe. I'm hoping we get a whopper of a game there. I can see this being one of those games which goes 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, 3-2. To either Spain or Belgium. I can see, if Lukaku is fit, by fit I mean he's had his 7 meals before the match has started, he will tower over the Spaniards, of course, and once he scored 1 goal, that'll be smashed to smithereens. It'll take them several hours to rebuild the pitch, so that's going to be an advantage for them. But the Belgians sort of flatter to deceive, and the Spanish seem to be coming good, so the odds are with Spain, so I'm going to say 3-2 to the Spaniards.
Glenn, what's your quick take on Spain versus Belgium?
Spain conceded, no real excitement so far, but quality players, real strength in depth. Belgium looked down and out, but they recovered a bit of spark belatedly. But if you've got Lamine Yamal, if you've got Yazbel up front, I think it's 2-0 to Spain, Mark.
2-0 to Spain. Well, that's what I went for, so you can't have that one. Argentina, Switzerland. I'm going to go for the noble prediction that Switzerland are going to beat Argentina. I don't think it's rigged. Switzerland, I think, are going to be the hardest team for Argentina to break down. I'm going to go for 1-0 for Switzerland. And I have placed my bet today. That is image number 7, if we can call that up. I have put 20 quid in a desperate attempt to stem my losses. Otherwise, I'm going to be on the run for my gambling debts as well. 20 quid at 6.4 that Switzerland beat Argentina in 90 minutes. Paul, what do you make of that? The chocolate factory, as Switzerland are known, knocked out Charlie, as Colombia are known last time round. If the chocolate factory can knock out Charlie, they can knock out the RGs, can't they?
Well, Switzerland were known for a lot of things, weren't they? Both Switzerland and Argentina at some point either harboured Nazi gold or actual Nazis themselves. In fact, I believe Adolf Hitler went to Argentina and lived for a further 20 years after the war, if you believe a lot of the 27 hours of conspiracy documentaries on YouTube that I've seen. But I do fancy Argentina to win this 2-0. 2-0.
There you go. Okay, it's only me sticking up for neutral Switzerland. That's a country beginning with an S, isn't it? Maybe that's the one that people meant I should flee to. Now it's coming together. But then you've got lovely Fiona, who could probably provide me with a bolt hole up in Scotland. I don't know. I can't decide which one to go for. Let's get into the England game. Very quickly, guys, how do you see that going? I'm going 2-1 for England after 90 minutes. Glyn, what's your take on that?
I was going 2-1 England after 90 minutes, Mark. Are you going to rule that one out?
Yep.
3-1.
3-1. Paul, similarly confident?
Yeah, it's already at 2-0, mate. It's in the bag. cut to absolute panic 30 minutes in when we're 3-0 down, but we're going to win 2-0.
Great. There are the predictions. Let's see if we can bring Gary back in. I think we might have had a problem with his signal, but I think he's been able to rejoin us. So let's see if he's there. And Gary, are you with us? How's your signal doing? You were just telling me what an osteopath is, which is looking at what? Bones and muscles. Is that right?
And nerves, all the nerves supplied to your entire body via your back. There's 26 nerves that go to different parts. If you're not getting the right nerve supply, they don't function properly. So an osteopath looks at the spine, looks at the movements of the spine, and makes sure that the body's getting its correct nerve supply.
And so how crucial is that then, Gary, to making sure that the whole team are fit and on the pitch? Because it looks to me at the moment that the England team seem to be more injury prone than most of our opponents. What's an osteopath do to fix that for them?
Well, you've mentioned the neural hamstring that Jack Price has got. Where you got the neural component, that means the nerve that feeds the hamstring is where the problem lies, not the hamstring itself. So we'd be looking to treat his back more so than the hamstring.
Got it. Okay. So, and do you tend to do this like, can you cure an injury, or is this basically just to try and keep people in trim? And if an injury happens, well, it's just a whole load of rehab that you need. So, are you trying to stop injuries, or are you trying to fix injuries?
Treatment's been used in the past mainly to restore function that's broken. Nowadays, in our sporty lives we lead, we use treatment to maintain function and also to dysfunction. So a lot of treatment that's in the treatment room at the football clubs is preventing injuries rather than actually treating injuries. So there's quite a balance of it nowadays.
All right, Gary, listen, we're struggling with your stream a little, but thanks for your help. I think we need to sign you up for the England team because, we actually need to also stop people injuring themselves when they leap over advertising hoardings, as I say. Let me bring back in our wingmen, Cox and Glyn. Look, guys, I'm going to have to make a break for it very, very soon. Let's hope that the Norwegians don't have a repeat of their heroic match, which, Glyn, you told me it was 1993, but I've looked it up. It was 1981. 1981. Norway beat England in Oslo, and we've got a little bit of a clip of the commentary there. There's some visuals, but then it all goes black because I think the commentator absolutely loses it. Let's hope this is the last time that Norway are celebrating over England. But my God, they celebrated pretty well way back in 1981. Play clip number 7, please.
Dette fotballhistorie! Det fotballhistorie! Det aldeles utrolig! England ledet 1-0, Norge leder 2-1. Dommeren legger til og legger til og legger til. Det går mot engelsk statsborgerskap. Der blåser han! Der blåser han! Norge har slått England 2-1 i fotball. Vi er best i verden! Vi er best i verden! Vi har slått England 2-1 i fotball. Det aldeles utrolig! Vi har slått England! England, kjempers fødeland! Lord Nelson, Lord Beaverbrook, Sir Winston Churchill, Sir Anthony Eden, Clement Attlee, Henry Cooper, Lady Diana. Vi har slått dem alle sammen! Vi har slått dem alle sammen! Maggie Thatcher, can you hear me? Maggie Thatcher, jeg har et budskap til deg midt under valgkampen. Vi har et budskap til deg. Vi har slått England ut av verdensmesterskapet i fotball. Maggie Thatcher, som de sier på ditt språk, i boksebarene rundt Madison Square Garden i New York. Your boys took a hell of a beating. Your boys took a hell of a beating. Maggie Thatcher, Norge har slått England i fotball. Vi er best i verden. Terje Dalby, vær så god.
It's lost to the mist of times what Terry Dalby said when the handover was that. It's like doing all that and then saying, and here's Bill with the weather. Right? They're not going to get that. Look, Biscuit Face is back. A massive super chat from Biscuit Face, 49.99. Great show, Mark and the lads. 3-1 England. Thanks, Biscuit Face. You are single. I might need that to help my great escape.
Mark's runaway fund.
my runaway fund, and I've got a plan in place because my Learjet crashed, so that would have been the easiest way to get out. But I'm taking a lesson from history here, from the boys who carried out the Great Escape way back in the day. Richard Attenborough's Big X. I've decided I can't make it on a Learjet out of the country, but I'm going to try a rather old-fashioned type of transport before the stormtroopers get to me. And I think they're pretty close. I'm going to have to make a move pretty goddamn soon, boys. But firstly, please play clip 4. This is going to be my attempted escape route. Clip 4. I've learned from the best, from the guys. Learjet would have been preferable, but Paul, what do you think? Steam train to escape the country. That's the best way to escape. Which country beginning with the letter S do you think I should try and escape to by steam train, Paul?
Well, there's only one country to take a biscuit face's mum's gyro money and jump on a train, and that is Scotland, I think, Mark.
Scotland. What about you, Glyn? Would you go to Scotland, Switzerland, or another country beginning with the letter S?
By train, Switzerland for me, Mark.
Switzerland. Well, that's obviously where Richard Attenborough and Gordon Jackson escaped to. But the problem is you've got to, if I remember the Great Escape properly, you've got to be able to fake the local accent while you're there, right? Didn't Richard Attenborough and Gordon Jackson get caught because they were tricked into speaking in English? Where will I be able to get away with my accent better? Scotland, Switzerland, or somewhere else?
Switzerland.
Switzerland, very. Sierra Leone, says Cheesecake. Sierra Leone is Syria. Syria. Okay, I'll take the steam train to Syria. Look, it's been grim to see a bit of violence on the streets, even though we're trying to laugh through all of the mania of this World Cup. The stormtroopers are getting close. I've been warned I'm going to have to make a flee from this bolt hole. Thanks for the common sensors who have put me up here. Let's make sure that we don't have violence on the streets, whatever happens in the rest of this World Cup. I'm an old school kind of guy. And as I mentioned in yesterday's show, it's my belief that you want to keep the violence entirely on the field of play. So to play us out, whilst I make a run for it by steam train to Sierra Leone or Syria or somewhere else, to play you out is perhaps the standout example of how to keep violence on the pitch rather than let it spill over onto the streets of Paris and London. Here are the highlights of the famous Battle of Santiago, Chile 2, Italy 0 from 1962. This is old school association football and how it should be played. Enjoy this, guys. We'll see you Monday. Come on, England. And here's some proper football to play you out. I've got to make a run for it, guys. Good luck, my wingmen. See you soon.
Take care.
Pele once referred to football as the beautiful game. Chile against Italy from 1962 wasn't. Here's David Coleman.
Good evening. The game you're about to see is the most stupid, appalling, disgusting and disgraceful exhibition of football possibly in the history of the game. Chile versus Italy. This is the first time the two countries have met. We hope it will be the last. The national motto of Chile reads, by reason or by force. Today, the Chileans were prepared to be reasonable. The Italians only used force. And the result was a disaster for the World Cup. Now, if the World Cup is going to survive in its present form, something's got to be done about teams that play like this. Indeed, after seeing the film tonight, you at home may well think that teams that play in this manner ought to be expelled immediately from the competition. Just see what you think. Chicago. And there's trouble already. There's a fight going on in the middle there. Well, this looks like turning into a real battle. There's two Chileans down on the field. And what a scene after just 5 minutes play. Perini took a kick at a player then. Well, this is absolutely ridiculous. Perini took an open kick at a player who was nowhere near the ball. And he's off the field. He's being sent right off. And the police are being called on, or the army, the police in fact. Well, there's one of the sorriest and most stupid, incredible spectacles I've ever seen anywhere in the world. Lionel Sanchez. there we go again. That was one of the neatest left hooks I've ever seen. Well, David is absolutely out cold. Oh, that was one of the worst tackles I think I've ever seen. Sanchez brought it right in the face. That was David, and he's off the field. Well, Italy down to 9 men. Well, that was one of the most cold-blooded and lethal tackles I think I've ever seen. Sanchez, remember, was the man who took a swing at David a few minutes ago. Well, David's got ample revenge, and the worst possible way. And so we go now into the second half of what is sure to be known as the Battle of Santiago. Navarro. Ramirez. And there it is! And the stadium's erupted. Every man in the crowd on his feet. It's Tamperas to Laura. Oh, we're getting a rugby match and a fight, everything going in there. Well, how can Aston could possibly keep this game going? One dare hardly think. Oh, and a great shot and a great goal. Well, the humiliation of the Italians is now complete. Chile just stroking the ball about. No attempt made to play the ball at all. That was Salvatore. And in fact, I think the game is over. Ken Aston on his way to the dressing room. I don't think there's ever been a football match played like this in Chile, or indeed anywhere else in the world.
When teams delight to bark and bite and chew each other's ears.